Stop, thief. I can't help but wonder why people say that. Has any thief in the history of the world ever actually stopped? I suppose the call was more to alert other people to the thievery, but wouldn't "T stop that thief" make more sense? Even better, describe the thief. You know, something like that black-haired, green-eyed girl in the cloak stole a loaf of bread. Get her. Of course, as the girl in question, I'm disinclined to give my pursuers any tips. At least the yell gives me a nice heads up that it's time to stop walking nonchalantly and start bolting for the nearest alleyway. I've targeted this shop a dozen times now, so the baker, Grig, was doubtlessly none too happy with me. But come on. He just leaves the fresh stuff out in the open. What am I gonna do, not take it? I'd buy it if I could. I really would. Being a street rat thief isn't some fun, exciting freedom adventure. It sucks. A lot. The grand and beautiful city of Skyhope isn't so grand or beautiful for the many homeless residents who lack the money to survive or the training to become a productive member of society. I and everyone like me are just flat out screwed, and there isn't much of anything I can do about it without a bucketful of luck and someone else's pity. Grig was not supplying that pity. As I do my best to weave through the crowd, he barrels right through, shoving people aside as he rants furiously behind me. Which is bad, because I'm weak, underfed, and not particularly talented at much of anything. He is definitely going to catch me. Thankfully, I had allies. Yo. Vita. Right here. A friendly voice has me making a 90-degree turn, and soon I end up face to face with Lynn, a drastically superior thief than I could ever dream of being. Pass it. She orders. I toss her 2 of the loaves, which she proceeds to wave in Grig's direction, jeering and taunting. Just try to catch us, fatso. Taking a huge bite, she runs off in the opposite direction, giving me a chance to slip out of sight. Panting and wheezing, I head through the paths and back ways, munching on the 1 loaf I kept. It isn't particularly good bread, but it is warm and fresh and I am very, very hungry. And we have a winner. Excellent eyes, young man. I make my way through the winding alleyways and pop out where I know Rowan has set up shop. He's a con man and expert gambler. Where Lynn steals the stuff we need to survive, Rowan makes all the cash. Despite his questionably legal business model, however, he's careful not to get a bad reputation. He's just running cups, because as smart as he is, he isn't always that creative. Ball goes under a cup, cups spin around, he palms the ball into a new cup if he wants them to lose and doesn't if he doesn't. It's a classic game, though he spices it up with juggles and fancy twists for the show. I sidle in behind his stall, giving him his half of the bread. Breakfast for you, Rowan. Vita. Hey. Thanks, I appreciate it. You get this yourself? I nod. I've been helping Lynn out for a week now, trying to earn my place. She gives charity, but the charity isn't much just by simple necessity. If I do more to help, I'll get a bit more food. That half loaf was already more than I'd normally see in a day. Naturally, I'm nearly a skeleton, barely more than skin and bones. I can't do much without Lynn's help. And she could probably do even more without me than with me. It doesn't matter. I need to try anyway. More than just needing food, I owe them. 16 years of suffering is more than enough, and Lynn's crew is a far nicer place than any other I've been on. As if to prove that, Rowan hands me some coins. Here you go, Vita. Lynn keeps saying you're getting better and better. Pass these out to the kids, will you? It's hard not to consider buying myself a knife or something, but no. These coins are important, and Rowan handing them out is a sign of his trust. I saved my pittance for years and ended up buying a nice cloak. It's something warm to wear and sleep in, and something to hide my face in when I cry. Can't take the opportunity to buy that kind of stuff away from the others. Of course, a few of those kids will get something far more valuable than a cloak regardless of whether I give them money or not. Not many of them, but some people are just talented. It is said that the Mistwatcher grants each person a gift when they are made, and while the church likes to present that as some wonderful thing, it's no secret that whatever gives the gifts gives them absurdly unequally. Some people have talent beyond comprehension, like Lynn. Some people could shoot fire from their hands without even studying to be a mage. Some people get nothing. Or at least, if they get something, it's so small and insignificant that only the Mistwatcher knows what it is. I'm like that, as far as I know, but any of the other kids could end up shooting fire. I'm gonna want to make sure I'm not someone that stole money from them when they do. So I make my way back through the alleys towards where the kids sleep, alone with my thoughts. There you are, you little thief. Grig the baker's voice sends fear burning over me like a trough of grease. I freeze. How had he? Turning around, I see him. Fat, hairy like a bear, and panting with fury, he glares at me from the other end of the alley. I'm so dead. I turn and bolt. He's faster than me, though. Everyone is. As fat as he was, I'm emaciated. I'm still recovering from my first run, and this time I don't have backup on the way. Crap, what do I do? The alleyways in Skyhope are everywhere, and the walls are high. Even the smaller buildings tend to be 2 stories tall, all brick and clay and wood. I glance at a window frame. Damn it, Lynn would just vault right up there and be out of here. But I might be able to lose him if I get up and over a wall somewhere. He could run faster than me, but I bet he can't climb. Could I, though? Better find out fast. There. A crate next to a window next to a smaller than normal wall. If I climb up there I can hop over and he won't be able to follow. Hell, the crate will probably break under his fat butt. Lungs on fire, legs nothing but shots of pain, I scramble up the escape route. I'm in the windowsill. Just pull, and a meaty hand wraps around my ankle. With a single yank, I'm on the ground, head smashing against the wall on the way down. All week you've been raiding my shop. You think I'm just gonna let you? Ha! I'm already reeling, but the kick to my chest sends even more pain through my aching body. Skidding across the stone ground, I choke for air in vain. No, no, no. I was so close. They won't put any guards in front of my shop. I told them that thief they're looking for is after me, but they act like I'm full of it. But you know her, don't you? Chased her halfway across the city. More than the damn watch manages. You stupid kid. How much product will my worthless son have burnt by the time I get back, huh? You're costing me the better part of the day just to, maybe you should just stop leaving it out in the open, I choke out. You're the one making it so easy. A vein just about pops in the fat man's forehead. Ah, shoot. I definitely should not have said that out loud. His boot comes for my face next, sending me sprawling another time. Come on, get up. Get up. Is this how I die? It makes sense, if so. A pathetic death for a pathetic human. My whole life, I've been worthless. I don't remember even trying to be anything else. Only just now am I learning to live off of more than handouts, and I'm 16 already. Too old to start. So really, beaten bloody in an alleyway seems like the way to go. It happens to nameless people all the time. I might as well be one of them. With a crunch, I feel my ribs break as the man's latest rage-fueled kick lifts me off the ground and knocks me straight into a wall. Moron probably didn't get that strong baking bread. Just more of that talent some people have. Stupid, lucky, degenerate, fat bastard. Why does this jerk get something while people like me are left to rot? Why him and not me? A scream escapes my lips. I hadn't cried out through the whole beating, but now. Now I'm angry. I just want to hurt him back. I'm tired of waiting around for a miracle to rescue me. I want to see him suffer before I die. Maybe it won't do anything, maybe he won't even feel it, but I lash out at him anyway. What else can I do? Blindly, angrily, I reach for him with everything I have. I wish he was dead. Dead. I grab something. He kicks me again, sending me flying, but I hold on. It tears out of him, soundlessly, and he falls over. Broken, beaten, and bloody on the street, I am alone. Only one of my bruised eyes can even open anymore, but Grig doesn't appear to be breathing. The fight is over, and held tight in my fist is something I can't see. It shimmers outside the edge of my vision, wavering and frail. Like it could fall apart at any moment. Some part of me bubbles in satisfaction. For some reason, I know. It's Grig's soul. I sit in stunned silence for a short moment before panic fills my body, washing away the pain and fury from before. What is this? How did I do this? What is happening? Did I just grab a man's soul and pull it out? That's what I did, isn't it? It has to be, I know it is. But how do I know it? Should I trust it? How do I? Wait. Oh no, I should put it back. It's his. It's his soul. I try to shove it back in the corpse, but it just passes through. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. Souls are not for mortals to touch. The magic to control and manipulate souls, known as animancy, is very illegal. Study on it is forbidden across the entire island. But of course, some people don't have to study magic. They're born with it. Am I a natural animancer? Is that less illegal or more? Doesn't matter. I can't do this kind of thing. I can't be this. It's one thing to steal bread, it's another thing entirely to be a living. Blasphemy. The guards aren't going to ignore this. So if I could just put it back. It won't go. It's missing something. I don't know how I know it's missing something, but I do. It won't stay in the corpse without. Without. I reach into my own body, and pluck out a tiny, infinitesimal fraction of my own soul. I place it carefully inside Grig's, then put them both inside his body, holding my breath all the while. Nothing. The soul bits stay inside the corpse, but nothing happens. He doesn't start to breathe, his heart doesn't start to beat. Well, hopefully I can get out of here before anyone catches me. I rifle through the dead man's pockets, stealing everything of value I can find. Time to move. Then Grig opens his eyes. The fat man hacks out a cough, causing me to turn. I watch in horror as he sits up, a confused expression on his face. What? Oh. It's you. He says, pointing in my direction. I turn and start to stagger away faster, pain screaming through my body. Crap, why did I do that? Of course, he catches me easily. His hand grabs my shoulder. This is it. I'm going to die for real now. Maybe I can take his soul back out again. I'm so sorry. He says, genuine concern in his voice. I can't believe I did that to you. Please, let me help. What? The sudden face turn to his personality hits me like whiplash. I can carry you somewhere. I'll pay for you to get healed. I'm so sorry. Miss, what's your name? Vita, I tell him, blinking in confusion. Miss Vita. Please, let me help you. A smile blossoms on his lips, an oddly vacant and disturbing expression. I'll do anything for you, he says. Oh no. I messed up his soul somehow and I messed it up bad. That isn't even all of it either. Something else is off about him. Is it? You Um. Baker Grigg? Yes, Miss Vida. Could you, hold still for a moment? He nods, so happily willing despite the fact that he just recently tried to beat me to death. Of course, Miss Vida. I bring a shaky, bruised hand up to his neck, running it along the back of his jawbone. Nothing, no pulse. He stands motionlessly, letting me feel my hand around his nose and mouth. He isn't breathing, either. I'm not just an animancer. I'm a necromancer. The church is going to have my head. The dead have only one destination, and that is reuniting with the Mist Watcher. I'm screwed. But if I don't take him up on his offer to get healed, I'll probably die anyway. All right. Please help me, Grigg. Just don't let the healer examine you, okay? Grinning, he sweeps me up into his arms, carrying me back towards the market. He smells alive, still. I wonder how long that will take to change, or if it will at all. Will he rot? What is he now? It's so hard to think, everything hurts. It takes a lot of effort to not pass out. I'm so sorry, Miss Vida, Grigg says again. I didn't mean to. Well, I did mean to, but I didn't realize you. I was just so angry before. I didn't know you. I didn't know how important you are. But now, it's obvious. Yeah, obvious. What's obvious, exactly? I ask. Drip, drip, drip goes my blood on the stone below. A bone probably pierced something. It's obvious that I can't be mad with you. That I have to protect you. There is no one more important than you, Miss Vida. I've never felt anything like this before, but I know it to be true. With all my being, I exist for you. That's not creepy at all, I murmur. I'm so glad to hear it, Miss Vida. Grigg, or whatever it was I made out of Grigg, makes the rest of the trip to the healer's place in silence. He gladly pays the exorbitant fee with almost all of the money he has on him, most of which I awkwardly have to mention is in my pockets. It's more money than I've ever had in my life. I've never been magically healed before, and have no idea how it works. I know that the magic most commonly used to heal is called biomancy, and it's a spooky sort of magical school that tends to be heavily regulated. Thankfully, there's enough demand for healers that permits to practice are common to the point of encouraged, and the magic used to heal people is one of the most basic applications of the school there is. All I'm doing is speeding up what your body is trying to do on its own, the crotchety old healer woman informs me, though I'm a bit busy lying in agony to respond. We've still got to set your bones so they heal right, and then you're going to have to eat, or you'll starve to death when I cast the spell on you. From the looks of it, I'm about to feed you more than you've ever eaten in your life, young lady. Well, I'm not going to say no to that. The slop she gives me tastes like shit, but for the first time in a long time I'm actually full. A couple hours later, I'm on my feet again. Maybe things will be okay. Or so I think until the grinning face of the man who beat me in the first place greets me outside. Where to next, Miss Vida? I stagger out of the healer's building, my whole body still hurting like hell. I stumble a bit, only to have Grigg catch me. The man who almost beat me to death over some damn bread. What am I going to do with him? I don't know. Maybe he can just keep pretending to be alive and act normal. He looks pretty normal. Let's head back to your bakery, Grigg. It was a simple statement, but I was also testing him. I can't help but wonder, does he remember his bakery? Is he still, Grigg? Of course, Miss Vida. Right this way. So he does remember. Interesting. How about we head down some back ways? I suggest. I need to get a closer look at him. Figure out what I'm dealing with, how to survive it. Survival is the only thing I'm half decent at, after all. I've had 16 years of experience staying alive. Although I don't think I've ever killed anyone before. At least not on purpose. Which is what I just did, right? I was angry, I wanted to hurt him. So I murdered him. In self-defense, maybe. Either way, it's a little hard to have the whole deadness thing sink in while he's walking happily beside me. You're starting to look a little pale, Grig, I note. You feeling okay? Yes, ma'am. I feel fine. Although my feet feel a little puffy. Shoot, that makes sense. He'd been standing up this whole time, so blood must be pooling in his legs. Any chance you could get your heart to start beating again, Grig? Air. He blinks, thinking for a moment. Huh. I suppose I am dead now, aren't I? You killed me. Well, I'm sorry Miss Vida, but I don't have the faintest idea on how to control my own heart. All right. Well. Try to remember to breathe. We don't want anyone to realize you're like a zombie or whatever. A revenant, ma'am. A zombie doesn't remember its past life, so I would be a revenant. My uncle fought with the Templars, so he smashed down undead more than a few times, ma'am. Oh. Huh. And you're just okay with this? He grimaces uncertainly. Well. Forgive me, ma'am, but I'd certainly prefer to be alive. Although, I suppose if I was alive, I probably wouldn't have realized I am supposed to serve you. Which would have been bad. So, yes. I suppose I'm okay with this. It's starting to become really, really easy to see why animancy is illegal. This kind of stuff is possible. Imagine a power-hungry psychopath getting their hands on magic like this. It's kind of horrifying. So, you mentioned while you were beating the shit out of me that you have a son, is that right? I blink. That's an odd way to describe one's own family. I suppose this guy almost beat me to death for stealing bread, so he's probably not a great person. Forgiven, I guess. Remember to keep breathing, please. We're going to need a plan to not, get imprisoned or killed, I think. If people find out you're a revenant, it will be bad. Don't worry, Miss Vida. I will protect you with my life. There's a pause. Well. With my death, I suppose. I'm not sure what to say to that, so I let him take me to his shop in silence. It smells like burnt bread. Grig grinds his teeth. Miss Vida. May I go discipline my son? Geez, what do I say to that? Well, I don't want to be suspicious. Just do what you'd normally do. Thank you, Miss Vida, he says, nodding. Boy. He bellows loud enough to make me wince, entering his shop with a face suddenly contorted to rage. Like a switch is flipped inside him, that hateful man who nearly killed me returns. Grig's shop is split into two parts, a stall on the street, and the actual bakery behind it. I suspect Grig and his family live in the same building they bake in. A woman who is probably Grig's wife runs the stall outside. She's busy with a customer, though she winces as Grig walks past her, screaming into the building. How much product did you burn, boy? He vanishes inside. I hurry closer, trying not to bring attention to myself. Though muffled by the walls, I hear a hard smack. No. No way. I knew he was awful, but I didn't realize he was that awful. It's one thing to discipline a child, it's entirely something else to discipline them so hard I can hear it through a stone wall. I wince as another muffled crack is heard from inside. It's not my business anyway. I can't run in there and tell him to stop now, that would be way too suspicious. It's not like he is going to kill his own son anyway, right? Crack. Screw this. Screw today. Screw everything. I turn to leave, heading back to the alleyways and trying not to cry. I didn't know he would do that. I didn't know. No. Focus. I need to start figuring things out. I can try to figure out how to be less awful once I figure out how to live. Maybe I can learn a bit more about what I am. I can sort of feel its souls, right? So maybe I can feel my own soul. I sit down out of sight and try to focus, trying not to think about the beating I just let happen. I touched my soul earlier when I plucked a little bit out of it. I try to focus and remember that feeling. What is my soul? What is? It's so small. Smaller than Griggs is. Weak and frail, just like me. It's so dark, a solid, despairing blackness manifested. Something flickers inside it, like tiny flashes of light behind cracks in a wall, but it's just so little. So pathetic. It makes sense. I am, after all, a weak person. But weaker than Grig? Ugh. That rankles a little. Still, the part 1 missing, that tiny bit I took out to give him. It was even smaller, by a long shot. Maybe 1/100th of my soul, if that. Although, who knows how much of my soul I could remove and still be me. It feels like my soul is working fine, at least. It's firmly attached to my body. I'm alive, and staying that way for now. Crack. Even hidden in an alley on the other side of a wall, I hear the blow. A chill runs through my body. I've seen so many worse things in my life than a man beating his son for burning bread. But this one is partly my fault. I put the soul back in that bastard to bring him back. I unleashed him on his family. This is my business, like it or not. The least I can do is make sure he doesn't kill them. This is going to come back to bite me somehow, I just know it. Maybe having parents isn't all that great after all. I head back to the stall, walk right past the meekly protesting Mrs. Grig and stick my head into the building behind her. It's all brick and clay, because most buildings are. The oven burns hot next to a bruised and crying young boy, probably around 13 or 14. Standing over him is Grig, who at this point is mostly muttering to himself and baking bread. You just take it out of the damn oven before it turns black, you pathetic boy. How hard is that? Everything was laid out for you. How can you not do this one simple thing? I should disown you. The boy whimpers briefly before catching sight of me, panic filling his eyes. Miss. Why you can't be in here? I sigh. At least he's not dead. Betcha I can be. Grig, quit beating your family. Miss Vita. I'm sorry, I thought you said. I know what I said. Can we just not do the beating thing? You've definitely beaten out my love for beatings. I'm so sorry, Miss Vita. It won't happen again. Great. Good. That's good. That was easy. Maybe if I'm careful, this will work out okay. I can help out. No, wait. Help out how? By murdering bad people and turning them into slaves. Father? Who is this? This is Miss Vita. Be respectful, boy. Isn't she the girl that kept stealing your bread, father? Yeah, I am, but inconfidently. So be respectful. He blinks in utter confusion. Mission accomplished. But I still need to figure out what to do from here on. I can't hide this forever, right? Sooner or later, someone will notice the dude is dead. Boy, bring this bread to your mother, Grig orders. And cover your face. Oh, nice one, Grig. The child hurried out of the room as instructed, leaving the two of us alone. What now, Miss Vita? I don't know. I'm thinking. I want to go talk with Rowan and Lynn. They're reliable. They know me, they like me, and they feed me, which is about the closest thing I have to friends. But I'm an animancer. Lynn can't exactly walk up to the authorities and try to sell me out, but animancy is something even criminals don't screw around with. I want their help, but I legitimately don't know how they'll react. That's scary. My other options are to stick around and try to lay low, or to run out of the city. Running out of the city isn't the most appealing thing in the world, since without the protection of the guard, the Templars, and the massive city walls, I'll probably die in a few hours to all the horrifying monsters that roam around out there. I've lived in Skyhope my whole life, so I don't know much about that, but the rumors are, concerning. But can I stay? Grigg already looks pale to the point of sickly. He's eventually going to get discovered. I might be able to just pretend like he has nothing to do with me. Natural undead happen. It doesn't necessarily mean a necromancer made them, I think. Although natural undead almost never reanimate after a single death. It tends to take a war. If only I could make him alive again, but how the heck am I supposed to do that? He's not alive. People can't just make something alive, right? His soul is puppeting his body with magic. Okay. First things first. Grigg, can you tell me more about necromancy? You said your uncle was a Templar, right? You want me to tell you, miss? I never studied this crap, Grigg, I'm a natural. He frowns. It's odd that you could be a natural necromancer. Isn't animancy an affront to the Mist Watcher? So why would? Well, it doesn't matter. If the Mist says it is, then it is. I'm afraid I don't know much about necromancy, though. Just undead. There's all sorts of types. The basic ones are called dregs. A dreg zombie is an animated corpse with no real intelligence. They wander aimlessly and attack living things that get close, but unless the corpse is of some powerful monster, they're not very dangerous. Dreg skeletons are the same, but with no meat on their bones. There are other types. More powerful undead can retain more of their abilities in life, even if they're mindless. Those are called risen. They're incredibly dangerous, but the ones to really watch out for are revenants and wights. Revenants, you know, ma'am, since I'm one, I think. I remember who I was, I can do all the things I could do while alive. But I'm dead, which makes me harder to kill, I imagine. I think most revenants tend to try to kill the living as well, but I'm not sure why. I don't feel any need to do that. Okay. Well, let me know if you start feeling any homicidal tendencies. Murder is bad, okay? Yes, Miss Vita. So, what about wights? Oh. Wights are, very bad, miss. I'm not sure what they are, really. My uncle said they look like a dreg, but they act odd. And they are powerful, he said. They send whole battalions of Templars to fight a wight when they find one, miss. Sometimes it's overkill. But sometimes the wight kills them all. Many of them have powerful magic, usually chaos magic. And if they're left alone, they keep getting stronger. Leave a wight alone for too long, my uncle said, and you'll lose a whole island. Oh. That sounds very bad, yeah. I can't help but wonder if I could control one. Probably not something I should mess around with, though. Best to focus on the moment. What should I do with Grigg? I have no idea. I can't just bring him back to the shack. Lynn and Rowan would freak out. I need to gauge how open they are to what a monster I am before I do anything crazy. Okay. Grigg. Here's what we're gonna do. Stay here and keep pretending to be alive. Don't forget to breathe. If you start, showing too many signs of corpseness, hide in your home. It's really important no one finds out you're dead. Makes sense to me, Miss Vita. And no beating people up. Yes, Miss Vita. And don't let your family blab about me being here. I'm just a rich customer or something. I don't know. You figure out a good excuse. Bye. There's a back exit this way, Miss Vita. I nod and follow, grabbing a bunch of bread before taking the exit and sneaking through the old, dank parts of the city I know so well. Spikes of panic flow through me almost every time I see somebody. Do they know? Are they a guard? A Templar? Is this the end? But of course, nothing of the sort happens, at least not yet. Making sure I don't have any tails, I finally make my way to Lynn's hideout, which we lovingly call the shack. It's a rickety old place, built from wood instead of brick. Little of interest is inside, a few sleeping areas, a mostly broken clay oven, a dozen starving, homeless brats. All the real stuff is in the secret rooms below, but of course I have to deal with the brats first. Vita. Vita, Vita, Vita. Grubby kids swarm around me, pawing at my shirt and cloak. I had been one of them not too long ago, though I'm older than any of the ones here by 4 or 5 years. I had just been content to live on handouts. To eke by with the meager life allotted to me and nothing else. Not contributing, not working, barely even thinking, really. Just existing on the generosity of someone kinder and more talented than me. And she would have let me, too. Deciding to try and help Lynn had been my choice, but I made it so late in life I wonder if I still have it in me to unlearn all those awful, lazy habits. I've just felt something stirring in me, something that makes me look back at my life so far and feel so much disgust that I have to move forward. What did you bring us, Vita? Bread, I say, handing it out. Bread is always a beautiful sight to see, but the money I'm supposed to be giving them has been used up to save my life. More worthless taking. Is Lynn around? A couple of the kids nod, and one points down. All right. Thanks. I nod back and scoot one of the beds aside, opening up the not very secret hatch and crawling down the ladder. The hideout isn't that hidden, but Skyhope is a very, very big city and there are probably hundreds of little shacks like this one in the area. The people after Lynn just don't quite care enough to search them all yet. It's basically just a hole in the ground, carved from the rock by whoever owned this place prior. It isn't pretty, but it's big enough for 2 beds and a whole other room, at least. Hey, Lynn. I call down. Vita. Hey. You made it. Lynn's cheerful response calls back and soon the woman is on me, grabbing me straight from the ladder and spinning once before putting me down. She has a huge, goofy grin on her face, as usual. A few strands of her red hair poked out from underneath her bandana, and with her boyish, multi-pocketed outfit it would be difficult for her to look more like a stereotypical thief. Hey, Lynn, I murmur, wiping off something oily that she had gotten on me with the embrace. Probably maintaining her knives or something. We're friends, right? She lifts an eyebrow. Yes, of course we are. Did something happen, Vita? You look kind of freaked out. I am freaked out, I say flatly. I'm honestly way beyond freaked out, right now. Oh. Well, you know I got your back for anything, Vita. You kids mean everything to me. I grimace. Lynn's not even that much older than me. Maybe 20. Yet she refuses to stop treating me like a kid. I'm not that short. I know. This one is pretty bad. She shrugs. I'm all ears. I swallow. This is a moment of truth. I probably shouldn't say it all at once. Well. It turns out I'm a natural mage, I hedge. She blinks. Then her grin explodes even wider. Yo, you what? Vita, that's awesome. That's the best news I've heard in months. Why would? Something bad happened. Yeah, you could say that. See, couple of bad things, really. There's a pause. She looks me over carefully. You kill somebody. I swallow. Yeah. I did. That, Baker guy. Grig? He tracked me down somehow and nearly beat me to death, and, yeah. I killed him. Then I had to use the money on him and what Rowan gave me to, stop dying. She stares carefully. Considering. It's a very motherly sort of look, the kind of look someone used to raising a dozen lying street rats often gives. Does she think I just stole the money? Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it. I believe you, she says eventually. You're way too smart to make a lie like this. And you get how serious this is. Right? Corpses show up in town all the time, but if the guard finds someone who was killed by magic, they're actually going to take it seriously. But I got your back in this, Vita. It's not like I haven't killed anyone before. Nobody's gonna be turning you in. Have you hidden the body? Crap, 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 this is the moment, this is when I have to tell her. Right? Do I trust Lynn? Do I really trust Lynn? She's been giving me charity for the past year. She's a good person. She would want to help, I know it, but this is something that could put everyone in danger. Okay, fear racks my body. Would she kill me? I sort of. Come on, V. It's okay. The goofy grin returns. I got your back. I made the corpse stand up and keep pretending to be alive, I blurt out. Silence. Lynn's grin falls. Oh no, I'm so dead. I should try to grab her hand. Or hug her, maybe. In case I have to pull out her soul. She's fast, but maybe she won't realize what I can do until it's too late. She's strong. She's arrogant. She doesn't know how dangerous I am. If she goes in for the kill, I didn't know that was a thing that could happen, Lynn says, sounding much more dumbfounded than aggressive. More evidence that the church is full of shit, I guess. A necromancer, huh? Shit. That will be really hard to work with. It's still good, though. We'll figure something out, Vita. Congrats. I swallow dry. Really? It's okay. But we'd better go collect your corpse, buddy, before the Templars find it. Probably destroy it, just to be safe. Well, the thing is, he's a revenant. Lynn tilts her head. The hell does that mean? He's still Grig. He's still himself. Like, he's currently running his bakery. He's still exactly the same person, as best I can tell, other than the fact that he listens to me. And he's a walking corpse, I guess. But it's not that simple. His son saw me, and he saw Grig acting all weird, and he knows my name. She scowls down at me, flicking a bit of hair away from her face. Vita, did you enter the bakery with him? I had to. Grig was beating up his family. He's awful unless I specifically tell him not to be. So you left him alone. Vita, Rowan and I are pretty sure Templars can sense magic. Whenever they're involved with a job, we have to go mundane or they crack down on us hard. If whatever they're doing to figure that out can identify necromancy. Oh no. I didn't know that. She sighs and rustles my hair. Always that same goofy smile. I know you didn't, kiddo. Which is why we gotta go now. Come on, follow me. I do. Lynn is crazy fast, but she waits for me as I pant along after her. It's not long before the two of us reach the back entrance of the bakery. I let myself inside, finding Grig working his oven like normal. He looks up at the noise. Miss Vita. You. Careful. That damn thief is right next to you. He instantly drops what he was doing and tries to protect me, but I step in front of Lynn, arms outstretched. Stop. She's a friend. He stops, but scowls. He's clearly not happy. As you say, Miss Vida. How can I help you? Lynn steps out from behind me, her expression furrowed. She walks around the revenant, much to his obvious annoyance. You really do have him whipped, don't you? All right. We're going to take him to sewage and end him. I blink, dumbfounded. Do you really think that's the safest choice, Lynn? I do, she confirms with a nod. It won't really do much about the boy, but if he blabs after we take this guy away they'll hopefully just think he ran off with you. If they don't find the body, anyway. If they do, they'll probably suspect you of killing him, but that's still better than people thinking you're a necromancer, Vida. And we'll hide the body well, Excuse me, Miss Vida, Grigg says, piping up. If you really think you're better off with me dead, that's all right. I'll happily die for you again. But I can't say I like seeing this stupid woman trying to boss you around. I look up at him, swallowing dry. I don't want to kill him. I already killed him once by accident, and it freaked me out so much I can hardly stand it. Now I'm supposed to kill him again, when all he wants to do is help. On purpose, in cold blood. I really don't know if I can do this, Lynn, I say quietly. She sighs, putting her hands on my shoulders. She has to lean down to look into my eyes. A lifetime of malnourishment will do that to a gal. Vida, sweetie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry this is happening. I can do it if you need me to, okay? But we can't have whatever he is running around in the city. If people think a necromancer is in town, all hell is going to break loose. You wouldn't be safe. You know that, right? I nod, holding back tears. It wouldn't be good to waste water. Okay. Follow us, Grigg. Out the back. Yes, Miss Vida. The three of us sneak much more slowly back through the alleyways, heading towards the edge of the city. Skyhope is built in and around a crater, so the edges of the city are much higher in elevation than the middle. This is, so I've learned, a huge pain for sewage management. Sewers around the city have to be dug deep and managed carefully to prevent accidents from pooling unsanitary water in the center of the city, and since the center is the rich district they actually manage it pretty well. The designated sewage disposal areas are out near the edges, where all that disgusting sludge has to be pulled up from deep underground so that it can be deposited outside the walls. In that grossness is where Grigg would die again. He'll be mixed in with the mush and pushed outside the city walls where his body won't be found. I'd better make use of him while I can. Ugh, what a horrible thought, but I do need to know as much as I'm able, especially about the people that are going to try to kill me. Just a few more questions. Hey, Grigg. Can you tell me what you know about Templars? Your uncle worked with them, right? He grunts. My uncle was one. A proud Templar of the Church. They're expert warriors, they are. To be granted the title of Templar is an honor. They protect people like you and I from people like you and I. I finish sardonically. Well. It's not just the undead that Templars fight. They're part of the army as well, more or less. They clear out plenty of other dangerous monsters. Fight in wars, if there is one. Protect the peace at home. They are the hands and feet of all those who worship the Mistwatcher. Which is almost everyone, I should think. Lynn snorts incredulously. Yeah, no. I'm not interested in whatever rules those cultists decide. They say the Mistwatcher wants this, the Mistwatcher wants that. It's probably some made-up deity they use to justify keeping all the metal for themselves. Grigg frowns at that. You don't talk to many people over 40, do you, miss? She blinks. Huh. The Mistwatcher is very real, miss. We've seen him. The one below all. Ask anyone that was alive to be there, ma'am. He saw a star he didn't like, and he pulled it out of the sky, just as the church said he would. He holds the islands in the air with naught but his will. Go to the edge and look down, miss. If the mists are clear, you'll see him too. There's a moment of silence, as Lynn and I try to take that in. As if two street urchins like us could afford a trip to the edge, Lynn responds scathingly. Get over yourself, dead man. He shrugs. Live long enough, and you'll see him whether you go to the edge or not. They say in ancient times, people worshipped many false gods. Invisible gods. Gods you had to believe in just because you're told to. Some people still do, I hear, and they're all fools. The Mist Watcher is real, miss. Whatever you think of him, he's there and everyone knows it. We make the rest of the trip in silence, giving me time to collect my thoughts. Everyone knows of the Mist Watcher, certainly. Even an uneducated urchin like me. The church says the whole world was crafted by the Mist Watcher, every single island in the sky. Unlike Lynn, I believe he is real. I just figure if this is the world he made, he must be pretty damn awful. There's no way I'm going to worship whatever made my life. Not a chance. We're here, Lynn announces. It's somewhat of a redundant thing to say, considering that when she opens the hatch at our feet the smell nearly doubles me over. The three of us crawl down the ladder, and before I know it we're knee-deep in shit water. I follow Lynn as she wades through it a ways before finally speaking again. All right. Here's a good spot. You want me to destroy him for you, Vita? Destroy him. It sounds more like murder him to my ears, and I don't want that to happen at all. He is horrible. Truly a horrible, awful human being. In many ways he probably deserves death. Yet that feeling of holding his soul in my hands, how weak and vulnerable he was, how he had just fallen over it scares me. In the same way, it scares me how obedient he is now. So many parts of my mind are screaming, keep him. Use him. This is what I need. This is how I can finally become stronger. This is how I get out of hell. My whole life I've had to scrape and steal and beg just to live to see tomorrow, and now I can just make people wait on me hand and foot? How can I just give up on that? I turn to look at Lynn. At the woman who has helped me all these years, who fed me when I was hungry and asked for nothing in return. At the person willing to help me even now rather than toss me to the church like the monster I am. I can't put her in danger. Not the one, singular good thing in my life. No. I got it, Lynn. I walk up to the awful, fat man. I put my hand on his chest, trying to feel for his soul. I can. It's kind of like feeling my own soul, except outside my body. I suppose, in part, it is my soul. The shard of my soul that I put in him has fused with his own, making a singular form. The new soul is very different from either one I used to form it. I can't see it, not really, but as I hold my hand to Greg, I can feel things growing out of the core of his being. Like strings, or maybe blood vessels. Whatever they are, they slither through the body, pulling and tightening and moving it around like some kind of freakish parasite. He is a muscular man under all that fat, but his muscles aren't involved in his movement anymore. Dutifully, he still pretends to breathe, but his diaphragm doesn't tighten or contract at all, it just moves on its own, some invisible force inside it forcing it to do so. It feels so different, so wrong and yet so right. I take a deep breath of my own. He smiles at me. Then I take my hand away, and he crumples into the sludge like a dropped doll, completely lifeless. I hold everything he was in a single palm. Instinctively, without even thinking, I pop it into my mouth and swallow. The soul slides down my throat, but it does not drop to my stomach. I shiver as that thing inside of me that makes me myself pulls Grig's soul within it and unravels him like a priceless tapestry with a loose thread. He dissolves into nothing, and becomes a part of me. I stagger, taking a step back as the aftermath flows through my being. My steps are lighter. I'm not as imposed by the bog. I'm stronger than I was before, just a bit. Yet my muscles haven't gotten any less atrophied. My soul just demands they move better, and gives them the strength to do so. It isn't a lot. But to a girl as weak as me, it's a world of difference. I can't help but let a small smile quirk at my lips. What did you just do? Lynn's words hit like a bucket of ice. She is staring, her normally jubilant expression mixed between confusion, caution, and a bit of fear. Horrid realization comes crashing back on top of me. What did I just do? I can feel you, Lynn continued. You just popped onto my danger sense, kid. I cough. Do I have soul gunk in my throat? Danger sense? Yeah. It's a trick people like me can learn. I can sort of. Well, judge how dangerous someone is. It's not precise or anything. Before now, you didn't register at all. Now you're weak, but I can feel you. That doesn't just suddenly happen. What did you do? Oh no. Well, she came this far with me. I may as well be honest. I squeak. I ate his soul, I think. Her jaw drops. You ate his soul. I'm sorry. I just acted on instinct. You have a soul-eating instinct. I don't know. Yes. Maybe. What else was I supposed to do with it? Please don't hurt me. I hunch down, putting myself at her mercy. This is all so messed up. What kind of monster am I now? Lynn's shoulders sag. She lets out a huge sigh, tension of the situation escaping her figure. Vita. Hey. I'm not gonna hurt you. I got your back, remember? Always. Rowan and I will figure something out. It might have been a good idea. I don't know how the Templar magic stuff works. I just don't know anything about this, okay? Magic isn't my bag of beans, and nobody knows anything about animancy and sticks around for long. We're just gonna have to figure this out as we go, okay? And keep it secret. I nod. Of course I'll keep it secret. Dying doesn't sound like my idea of a good time. We'll find a way to use this, Vita, Lynn continues. You don't have to worry, I ripped a man's soul out of his body, I mumble numbly. I didn't even mean to, the first time. What if I try to do the same to you or Rowan? Lynn frowns. Grigg was a fat, stupid bastard. I, meanwhile, am a powerful and sexy queen of thieves. I doubt whatever you did to him would work on me. Magic is crazy, but it's not all powerful, you know. If you pay attention, you can fight back. Even if you don't know a single spell, like me. It's just training, kid. Maybe he was too busy trying to beat a child to defend himself, or maybe he just sucked at it. I'm not a child, I grumble, scowling. Lynn looks at the spot of muck where Grigg's body lies, just below the surface. She gives the corpse a light kick. No. I guess you're not anymore, are you? We'd better get back. We'll find somewhere to bathe and steal Rowan for a couple days. He'll know what to do with you better than me. Shaking, I lean forward and wrap Lynn in a huge hug, squeezing as hard as my newly empowered arms can manage. It's still not that strong, but Lynn gives a little yelp of surprise. Just a moment later, she brings her arms up and hugs back. It takes everything I have to not break down and cry. Hey, Vita. Lynn asks softly. Yeah. I know this is like a big emotional moment and all, but could we do this later? We're both covered in shit. Ah. Right. The two of us make our way to a place to wash off. Lynn bans me from getting anywhere near Grigg's bakery, telling me to stay in the shack for now. She says she'll be back soon, with Rowan to help. Just to be safe, Lynn suggests I stay in the secret area underneath, and to not touch any of the kids. Thinking about why that's a good idea is going to give me nightmares. Still. It looks like I'm going to have people to help. Things aren't as bad as I feared. Maybe things are actually starting to look up. Ha. Yeah. Good joke, Vita. A note from Thundermore. Thank you all for reading. I'm enjoying this story a lot, so expect a lot more. Alright, kiddo. How about you tell me this secret Lynn got you locked down here for, eh? I'm sitting face to face with Rowan, down in the hideaway under the shack. Lynn stands behind him, arms crossed. It's a bit of a serious atmosphere, but I suppose it's a pretty serious subject. Well. I'm a necromancer. Rowan glances up at Lynn, his flabbergasted face clearly seeking confirmation. He's a bit of an odd-looking guy, way too young to rock the black mutton chops he has. He's still quite attractive, though, and it's a secret to no one that he and Lynn are in a relationship. They're a power couple, and quite the contrast to my emaciated ass. How long have you been hiding this from us? Rowan asks, attention returning to me. And how did you learn? I haven't been. I found out earlier today. It just happened. She's telling the truth, Rowan, Lynn confirms. But natural animancers aren't a thing, he says. I mean hypothetically they're a thing, but there's no record of one ever existing. Then she's the first. Or there's a bunch and we don't have records of them. But I saw her do something, Rowan, and it didn't look like a spell at all. She just did it. He taps his chin, thinking. Why? I ask. I don't get any of this church stuff. What do they have against animancy? Well, sort of a twofold answer to that. The first is the church side, souls are gifts from the Mistwatcher, or so they say. When you start messing with souls, you're not just messing with the fundamental nature of a person, you're messing with the Mistwatcher's direct business. We don't know everything about the Mistwatcher, but the church is very adamant that it's a bad idea to mess around in his business. I frown, thinking. Well, okay, I guess that makes sense. So, what's the second reason? Pretty much just basic common sense. The church and the government are sleeping together nice and tight, but even without that any sane government would regulate or outright ban animancy. You can do crazy stuff with it. Read minds, corrupt thoughts, change people's beliefs and personalities, make them fall in love with you, and it's nearly impossible to trace except by another animancer. You're a necromancer specifically, you said. Necromancy doesn't do most of that really spooky stuff, but even then a powerful necromancer can create loyal, undying armies more or less by themselves. Along with all sorts of stuff I probably don't even know about. It's all restricted knowledge. I nod. Yeah, okay, so I'm spooky and dangerous. Check. So it's the most awful magic around. Great. What are all the other kinds of magic? He chuckles, shaking his head. Well, that's the question, isn't it? Presumably there's a kind of magic to affect everything in the natural world, but we don't know it all. Magic is learned and categorized by reverse engineering it from observation. Take a mage that can see magic, watch it happen in nature, try to make a formula for it. Kineticism, the branch of magic concerning movement, was created by observing the forces that hold the islands in the air, for example. There's a bunch of kinds of magic, thermomancy for heat, biomancy for body stuff, and metamancy for magic about magic, just to name a few. Oh, and technically chaos magic, which is just kind of tossing raw power around without funneling it into a spell first. Don't, do that. It'll kill you. Learning to be a spellcaster is incredibly dangerous. If you're really a natural mage, though, anything you feel like you can do on instinct is probably safe. At least, safe in the your immediate health sense, not the short and long-term consequences sense. So the deal with necromancy and animancy is? Oh, right. All necromancy is animancy, but not all animancy is necromancy. If you are a necromancer, your deal is specifically concerning souls of the dead and/or souls currently outside of a body. Its counterpart would be cognomancy, which is manipulating the souls of the living to affect a person's thoughts and actions. Although if you want to get really semantic, these designations are more academic than truly descriptionary, and a unified nope. Enough nerd talk, Lynn butts in. Can you help her or not? He frowns. Help her how? If she's caught using necromancy, she's gonna die or get carted away. My advice is don't use it. Lynn shakes her head. Part of who I am. I'm not sure if I like the idea of necromancy being a key element of my personality. Dumb or not, they can still kill her, Rowan mumbles. But fine. What kind of stuff do you know how to do already, Vita? I really don't know a lot about how necromancy works, because well, it's absurdly illegal. I can, pull souls out of people's bodies. And then if I take out a bit of my soul and mix it around with the other soul and put them back, I make a revenant, I guess. Or at least I did that one time. I can also, eat the soul. Which I think makes me stronger. Rowan says eloquently. Revenants and soul eating. Well. That's I mean, how did you find this out, exactly? How many people are dead? Just one. I insist. The Revenant was, under my control when I made it. So he didn't attack anybody, or well, I mean, he did, but that's because he was an asshole, not because he was a Revenant. Rowan leans back in his chair, blowing air out his nose as he balances the rickety wooden thing on two legs. Okay. Well. That's I don't know what to do about that. If your powers require somebody to die, you probably should not be using them. Yeah, I say dejectedly. That makes sense. It makes too much sense, really. I don't know what I want to be in life, but mass murderer is certainly not on the list. And I'm a death mage, basically. I just deal with death. Maybe I can wait around for people to die of natural causes and then eat them. Ugh, that sounds even worse. Am I just destined to be a horrible monster? Have you tried it with animals? I blink. Huh. Animals, Rowan repeats. Animals have souls. Monsters too, if you care to make the distinction. They tend to be weaker than the souls of humans and other sapiens, but they have them. Might be a more ethical way to test out the kind of things you can do. I swallow. Isn't that risky? Okay. I won tea, I promise, nodding. Good. Now let us go. I wanna see what you do. You got a preference for which pest to kill? I think about that for a bit. What sort of animal would I want to serve eternally in my loyal undead army? What about crows? Rowan smiles knowingly, standing up to exit the hideout. I blush a little. I might sleep with a stuffed crow still. It's not weird. Crows, huh? Why crows? Might be a little hard to catch them. I just like crows, I protest meekly. So you want to kill them and mess with their souls? Should Lynn and I be worried? My face goes white. And no. That's not what I mean at all. Kidding, Vita, Rowan says with a laugh, tousling my hair. Crows could be good practice. They're smarter than most pests. I'd question how long a crow zombie would actually be able to fly, but... Well, we can't let you leave undead around anyway, okay? That could be really bad. I nod, following him out of the hideout. Lynn says something about grabbing some more food and heads out, leaving the two of us to walk silently through the back streets of Skyhope. Rowan's finger twitches a bit, drawing a lazy path in the air. When he's done, I'm suddenly unable to hear the city's noise around me. There we go, he says. Silence bubble. We can chat freely now, if you want. Yeah. Question. I pulled Grig's soul out of his body while he was still alive. That's affecting a living soul, right? Affecting living souls is cognomancy, not necromancy. So am I both, or is that just proof of the, unified thingy you were talking about? Rowan looks down at me with a raised eyebrow. It ain't proof of shit. But yeah, the labels we give this kind of stuff. It's all observation-based. We made up the names to describe what we saw. Magic didn't create a bunch of spells based on names we gave it. There's gonna be some fuzzy areas. The unified theory is just one of many theories on how magic as a whole actually works. But as interesting as that is to pontificate about, it's nowhere close to proven. From a practical perspective, the groups we have are going to be how people learn magic for decades. It's not weird for a natural mage to have a few things outside whatever our imperfect understanding predicts they should have, but if you think you're a general animancer rather than just a necromancer. Well, let Lynn and I know as soon as possible, okay kid? I nod. Good. Here we are then, Rowan says. This should be a good spot to fish for crows. We turn a corner into a small clearing, empty of any people. There is, however, lots of trash. Rowan starts drawing something in the air again, though it makes no trail I can see. Eventually, some illusory food scraps pop into view nearby, while the two of us are covered with a fake trash bag. Alright, now we wait. You're gonna have to be quick to grab M, so stay sharp. I nod again. Illusion magic, huh? That's pretty useful for a con man. Time passes before a few crows come down and start pecking, immediately confused when their beaks pass right through the food. But before they can smell foul play, I reach out and miss. Embarrassingly. The crows are way faster than I am and just fly off. I turn an ashamed glance towards Rowan, who chuckles. Okay, I'll help. Just don't tell anybody I can do this. I've got a kinomancy license, but I do not have a thermomancy license. The next bird to fly down immediately gets flambéed. As it falls over dead, something stays where it was. A tiny, tiny soul. I can't see it, but I can feel it. Reaching out, I cup my hands around it, just over where the corpse lies. You got something there, Vita? Rowan asks, raising an eyebrow and leaning over to look at my seemingly empty hands. Yeah, I confirm, nodding. I have a crow soul. If you say so. I can't sense a thing. But I guess I've heard souls and magic aren't quite made of the same sort of stuff. I agree. Makes sense to me. I can't sense Rowan's spells like I can the floating soul. But I couldn't sense the soul until it wasn't in the crow anymore, either. Good to keep in mind. I'm gonna try some stuff, I warn. Dunno what it'll do. He nods. Alright. I'm ready. First, I close my hand around the soul. It sinks into my arm, something about what I am now holding it in place. Just as I thought, though I'm not sure why I thought this, it's not getting dissolved. It's just another soul inside me, trapped in stasis. Unused, for now. It feels very different to the soul I took from Grig. It's more like the tiny shard I took from my own soul than his. It's small, and sharp somehow. As if it's broken. A soul shard, if you will. And speaking of shards, I put my hand to my chest and pull out a fragment of my own. It's such an odd thing to do, thinking about it now. Splintering my very being. Yet it feels as natural as walking. Even more natural, perhaps. There's a subtle joy in the act, a satisfaction in practicing something that is uniquely and indisputably mine. Reaching out with my other hand, I grab the crow corpse. Then, I stick the little shard of my soul inside it. In my hand, I feel it grow out those threads like Grig's soul did, spreading throughout the body. Jerking and flopping, my crow zombie shudders to life. Neat, I murmur quietly. It struggles in my grip, not hurting me but trying to get free. It wants something. That's interesting. I like holding it, it's cute. I loosen my hands anyway, though, curious to see what it will do, and it tries to lunge at Rowan. Stop! I hiss, and the bird halts immediately, all movement gone. I nod. Good. It knows who its master is. Now for the coolest part about crows. Fly, I demand. It staggers and hops, flapping its wings awkwardly. It looks like the poor thing would have no idea how to do that, even if it wasn't quite as burnt. I murmur. Learning a lot. Rowan asks, his smile failing to disguise the fear on his face. I nod again, feeling out my own instincts for things to do next. The crow couldn't fly when it only had a piece of my soul in it. Would it know how if it had a piece of my soul and its own soul, like how Grig knew who he was? Open your beak, I command, and the zombie complies. Willing the crow's soul shard out of my arm, I try to drop it down the crow's throat. But it doesn't really work. Something is wrong. I frown, thinking. Pulling my spindly soul shard out of the crow again, it goes limp. I mix it with the crow shard like I did to make Grig, and then shove it all back in the body. The crow gets up and tries to attack Rowan again. This time, though, it kicks off my hand and flies at him. Stop, I murmur softly, and it freezes, dropping to the trash-covered floor. Shit, Vita, you're gonna give me a heart attack with that thing, Rowan murmurs, untensing a bit. Sorry, I respond. Got it to fly, though, yeah, I guess you did. You're a quick learner, kid. Not a kid. Killed a guy earlier today. Rowan's face turns very serious. That doesn't make you an adult, Vita. It's a tragedy, not a rite of passage. Silence follows that. I pick my limp bird zombie back up. Don't attack Rowan. You may move again. The bird coos happily, ruffling its feathers as I stroke a finger down its back. It's still warm. I think I forgot to tell you that the son of the guy I killed saw me in his house while Grig was a revenant, I say suddenly. Rowan blinks. Okay. That's not great. Did you tell Lynn? Yeah. What did she tell you to do? Stay away from the bakery and hope they think he ran off with me. Gross, Lynn. But I don't have a better plan. We're not gonna kill the son too. I feel bad for him. Grig beat his wife and kid a lot, I think. And they'll probably go out of business without him, now. Rowan shrugs. Well, if I could solve the problems of every kid in the city, Vita, I would. But I can't. I don't have the power, the money, the influence, the anything to do that. It's a handful feeding the little mouths we have already. And now you. He cuts himself off before he can say I'm yet another problem, but my heart clenches up anyway. Lynn and Rowan really are going out of their way for me, aren't they? Sorry, I murmur. Rowan tousles my hair again. Hey. None of that. You didn't ask for this. We'll figure out a way to keep you safe. I lean into his touch, hugging my bird. Thinking back at how its first instinct was to kill him. A terrible idea comes to mind. Hey, Rowan. Do you think it's my fault that the stuff I make is so violent? I'm putting bits of my soul in them. Does that say something about me? He sighs, sitting down in the trash next to me. I don't really know anything about necromancy, Vita. But almost all undead try to kill living things. It's just what they do. Yeah, I murmur. I guess that's all I can really do, too. Can you catch me something alive? Maybe I'm a cognomancer too. I can mess with my own soul, and I'm alive. He takes a deep breath, nodding slowly. Sure. I can probably snare a rat or something. He gets up to do just that, and I take some time trying to command my bird zombie non-verbally. Maybe I can establish some kind of mind link to make it easier to control it from a distance. I don't make any progress, though. Whenever I try, it feels like my soul is trying to stretch out of my body to touch the little bird, but it just doesn't stretch far enough. Here you go, kid, Rowan says, returning with something dangling between his fingers. One unconscious rat. Work your magic. Stay, I tell the crow, who glares at the animal ravenously. I accept the rat, pull out a shard of my soul, and try to put it inside while it sleeps. But nothing happens. My soul shard simply doesn't fit inside the living creature. Furthermore, I can barely sense the rat's soul, even while touching it. It's just enough sense to know I could pull it out, if I want to. I do, but I hold off for now. Shaking my head, I look up at Rowan dejectedly. No dice, huh? He says. Sorry kid. Though I gotta say, personally, I'm glad you can't do that kind of stuff. Cognomancy is some spooky business, even compared to the Walking Dead. Or, the Flying Dead, as it were. Now unanimate that thing and let's get out of here. Okay, I agree with a nod. Question first, though. How does Lynn's threat sense thing work? I spiked on it when I ate the last soul. Why? I don't want to set that kind of thing off. Rowan tilts his head a bit. When you ate? Well, martial types like Lynn get all kinds of pseudo-magic crap, and it's long been theorized that the stuff they do comes from the same kind of energy that makes souls work. If that theory is true, my guess is that Lynn is vaguely judging a soul's strength compared to her own. You might be able to learn how to do it, actually. As an animancer, it might even come more naturally to you than it does to her. Unless I'm totally off base, I guess. I nod, pulling out the rat's soul and popping it in my mouth. It's so tiny. Even smaller than the crow's soul. Discarding the corpse, I grab my little crow revenant and pull its soul out too. There is something viscerally satisfying to it, really. I hide both of the bodies in the garbage pile, popping the souls down my throat. They aren't very filling in the, spiritual sense, but it makes me feel a bit better to have my shard back inside myself, plus a bit of interest. That's super freaky, Rowan mutters, staring intently. Sorry, I murmur, standing up. It's fine. Really. Just try not to get into the habit of it too much, okay? I nod. On the bright side, I might be able to sustain myself on souls if we don't have enough bread. He gives me an odd look for a beat, then laughs, pulling me in for a side hug. Ah, shit. Come here, Vita. You're a good kid, yeah. It's probably not a good idea, though. A strong soul and a starving body is still half of you not working right, okay? We'll figure something out. No need to fast for us. Okay, I answer, nodding yet again. Hey, Rowan. Yeah, Vita. Is there something else I can do to help you out? Like, with your job? He thinks for a while at that. Not with necromancy, if that's what you're asking. But I can certainly use an extra pair of hands. There are a few easy duo cons we could do. I nod. Yeah. 'S what I meant. Thanks for helping me today. Yeah. Sure thing, Vita. You're basically family, you know. I've only known you for a year, though. He shrugs. Doesn't really matter. We starved together. You stepped up and helped Lynn and I out when you didn't have to. If the way I'm returning the favor involves hiding you from Templars, so be it. I frown. Those things hardly seemed comparable. I should have started helping way earlier. I'm way older than all the other kids in the shack. He blinks. Really? You don't look that much older. I'm 16. I insist. He scowls down at me, giving me a serious once-over. Why was this so hard for everyone to believe? You're just so small. You really struggled to eat before you found us, didn't you? We're not even doing that good of a job, but you were desperate enough for our handouts anyway. It must have been really bad, Vita. I'm sorry. I swallow dry, looking away. That's definitely not something I want to get into. What does he expect? People in this city starve to death all the time. I'm still worried about Grig's son, I say, changing the subject quickly. His wife too. They'll recognize me. Is there some way you can make me look different? Not a great way, no, Rowan answers, taking the topic change in stride. I can probably disguise you while we're together, but some kind of complex facial enchantment that maintains a different appearance and moves with you without my constant attention. Yeah, no, you'd need like, a metal artifact or something. Way beyond anything I could pull off. Ha, yeah. Metal. Like that's going to happen. I nod once more, curiosity sated for now. It's a shame we can't hunt for food. Souls for me, meat for everyone else. It would have been ideal. It's never safe to eat meat unless it was treated by a biomancer, though. Cooking food helps, but all sorts of heat-proof magical diseases hang out in wild animals, and if anyone in the shack catches one of those, they will absolutely die. Rowan and I depart the trash-covered clearing, heading off to one of the places he likes to set up his job. Eventually, the two of us make it back to a busy street, Rowan's silence bubble dispelled. There the con begins, sending instructions by magicking words into my ear that are so quiet, no one else can hear them. I fake a few customer victories together on one street, act as an assistant on another. It's kind of fun. Rowan has an odd kind of personal magnetism to him, where even people who know he's scamming can't help but enjoy the show. I actually find myself smiling a little. At least until a Templar walks by, one of the very hands of the church that hates the very idea of my existence. Fear freezes my heart like ice. It's just a normal Templar, thank goodness, wearing standard issue armor rather than a unique getup. I think it's a he, anyway, is covered in armor from head to toe. Chitin armor, in fact, probably carved from some wretched monster from outside the walls. A sword hangs on his hip and a shield on his back, each piece of the outfit adorned with the eye of the Mistwatcher, the symbol of the church. Worst of all, he is absolutely, definitely, walking straight towards Rowan and I. A note from Thundermoor, thank you for reading. I have quite a bit of backlog still, so expect consistent updates. Oh no. Oh shit. Act natural. Just act natural. I'm a normal kid that has done nothing wrong. Wait, no, I'm not a kid. Do something natural and also adult. Damn it, I don't know what that is, I'm like the least natural person on the island. What do adult women do? Make out with Rowan? No, wait, gross. Ah. It's too late. He's already here. Kinemancy license. The Templar asks Rowan blandly. The con artist's mouth twitches in an annoyed smile. Right here sir, he answers, fishing some parchment out of his pocket. Murmurs of annoyance ripples through the crowd. Kinemancy. Illusion magic. A number of people start to realize they're being scammed all at once, departing in anger. With 2 words, the Templar has probably ruined Rowan's business in this part of town for a month. The Templar grunts, looking the paper over. Yep, you're clear. Sorry to bother you, sir. Just my job. And no problem, Rowan murmurs back, plastering the fakest smile he can manage on his face. The Templar doesn't seem to notice or care, handing Rowan's paper back and continuing on in the direction he was walking before. Once he's out of sight, I let out a long breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I'm going to have to work on not looking so guilty, considering how very guilty I am. Well, that's probably enough work for today anyway, Rowan says glumly. Come on, Vita. Let's bounce before someone starts thinking they can demand money back. We can demand money back? Someone asks. No. The two of us exit down an alleyway. I don't complain, I'm in no mood to keep going after that scare. Besides, I'm exhausted. From the looks of things, Cragscar Island will be passing overhead soon. The yellow sky glows eternal, presumably in accordance with the Mistwatcher's will. Clouds sometimes form and storms sometimes blot the sky, but only when other islands pass overhead does the land experience true darkness. Cragscar is a massive stone island, named as such for its tall stone cliffs with jagged swaths of blackness cutting through it like a wound. The island is large enough and moves at just the right speed for a 6-hour nighttime when it passes overhead. Perfect for finally catching some sleep. I walk back to the shack with Rowan in silence, but I'm more than okay with that. Silence gives me time to think, and thinking is something I definitely need to do. Firstly, Mistwatcher, I have to ask. What am I? Why am I like this? The Mistwatcher gives people their gifts, yet my gift is hated by the Mistwatcher. One of those two things has to be false, fight. Or is it just false in my case? For all I know, I'm some special chosen one, granted the Mistwatcher's own power. Of course, I could just as easily be the opposite of that, created by some force other than the one that makes everyone else, some antithesis to life itself. More likely than all of that, there's just something I'm not understanding correctly, and I'll feel like an idiot when I figure it out later. If the Mistwatcher knows, it doesn't answer. Ugh, damn it. Religion has never fed me, and now I'm a heretic for existing. Why did I even bother to ask? I have something now, at least. I have power, I have a talent. As frightening and horrible as it is, as much as I wish I could have any other ability, I will take it. It's better than nothing, and it's the only bone I've been thrown my whole life. I just have to be careful. Zombies are a major problem. I can't go around making them without people finding out sooner rather than later. But is there any way for someone to detect I've eaten a soul? Sure, I seem stronger to people with senses like Lynn S., but people get stronger naturally as well. It wouldn't inherently point to necromancy, even if someone notices how fast I'm growing. Eating souls is also, well, enjoyable. I want to say tasty, but that's not quite right. They don't really taste like anything. They're not physical, and my tongue doesn't register them. But the feeling I get from ingesting them is wonderful. From the way they break apart sliding down my throat, to how they plop into my awaiting spirit and dissolve away into raw power. Power that then becomes mine. The sudden, rapidly falling night time shakes me from my thoughts, and I'm relieved it does. The massive island of Cragscar will soon block the sky entirely, casting the town into near total darkness. As is, we're currently caught below its penumbra, a dark shadow of light's absence that bends below every island. I at least don't need to wait for my eyes to adjust, as Rowan is prepared, conjuring a ball of dim light in his palm. Cragscar is one of hundreds, well, probably more like thousands. Maybe more. Anyway, it's one of many islands that fly through the sky on the same predictable orbits. Just over 8 hours after Cragscar passes over, the mist thimble will bring 4 hours of darkness and rain as it floats overhead. The mist thimble is particularly beautiful, a sort of bucket-shaped island with streams of water which pour constantly out from its sides. I've always wondered how it never runs out. It casts great rainbows when viewed from a distance, and the showers of warm water it pounds on the streets can be a beautifully welcome sight to the many people like me who've had to fight for a fresh drink. 20 hours after Mist Thimble leaves, another island will pass over, and so on. Countless islands are visible just by looking up during the day, and I have absolutely no way of knowing how many are below our island. I've never been anywhere near the edge, and if I try to talk to a scholar or something I'll probably get my ass kicked by the city guards. I doubt I'd even believe there was an edge if there weren't. You know, sky islands flying around everywhere. I finally make my way back to our crappy little shack, greeting and jostling aside all my fellow orphan brats. Of course, I am a full head taller than most of them and quite a few years older, so I really shouldn't be considered in the same sort of category. Okay, so I'm still pretty short, but you try to get tall while constantly starving to death. It doesn't work. Eventually I sidle myself underneath the little pile of blankets on the floor that I call my bed, keeping my clothes on for safety and warmth. A wad of extra clothing is all I have for a pillow as well, but hidden safely inside that wad is my stuffed toy bird, Roscoe. I'm not sure what kind of bird he was supposed to be originally, but so much dirt and grime has collected on him that I've just taken to calling him a crow. I've had Roscoe for so long, I can barely remember where I got him. They don't leave toys like this out where someone like me could steal one. If I recall correctly, someone was bringing their kid through a bad part of town, and the kid dropped him while their family got mugged. Everything of value was taken by the muggers, but Roscoe here, well, he is certainly valuable to me. People like me don't get to own things. We hardly even get to like things. I had to protect this little stuffed doll with my life sometimes, steal him back from other kids when he got stolen, get in the type of fights normally reserved for the final scraps of food, all just to have something I could squeeze when it was dark outside. I squeeze him hard now, just thinking about it all. He is, and always will be, my most prized possession. My first friend. No matter how childish people think it is, they can't understand what he means to me. Though I can't help but wonder. If I can put a piece of my soul in a dead crow, can I put a piece in a toy crow? Can I bring my friend to life? The thought runs cold through me, a certainty in my bones. Whether it's impossible, whether it's some horrible facsimile of what I want, it doesn't matter. I have to try. I reach inside and splinter my soul once more, pulling out the shard, invisible to the eye yet glimmering to my heretical senses. What is the difference between an object and a corpse, really? Slowly, carefully, I push the shard into Roscoe. It fits. The little toy bird has a soul in it. I can't resist a giddy laugh as I feel spirit tendrils expand through the little stuffed body. It twitches awkwardly, flopping its useless little wings around. I did it. Roscoe, my friend, is moving. He is alive. Hug, I order softly. Grubby little black wings reach out, squeezing my all-too-thin torso. Pulling Roscoe in, I hug him back, my wonderful little friend. He's been my companion for so long, I've hugged him like this so many times, and now he can hug back. Tears well up in my eyes. After everything that happened today, after being nearly beaten to death, after murdering a man, after discovering my existence is illegal, after eating a human soul, this is what finally makes me cry. Screw it. I'll waste water just this once. I finally, drift off to sleep. I wake up sweating, a terror heretofore unknown freezing my body solid. It's still pitch dark. A slimy feeling passes over me like a giant, monstrous tongue. Invisible, intangible, it drips nothingness as it winds around me. I am alone. But it's there. I feel it, searching for something, passing over and around me. Until it touches Roscoe. It passes through Roscoe. And it plucks out that little shard of my soul I hid inside him. Then it descends, down into the mists, taking that tiny shard with it. Half a minute later, I start to breathe again. I sleep no more that night. A note from Thundermo: I expect to have another chapter out in a few hours. Please enjoy. I don't know how much time passes. I don't even realize it's light out when Kragscar departs. Something shakes me and I gasp, panic flying through me for a few seconds before I consciously recognize what is going on. Hey! Hey, Vita! A familiar voice calls, worry heavy in her voice. Lynn? I ask, tears I never realized I was shedding falling down my face. Immediately, the thief pulls me in for a hug, holding me tight. She is warm, both in body and in soul. I feel it as she holds me, both strong and soft as it pulses inside her. It's much, much larger than any other soul I've touched before. Even though she is alive, I feel it as she holds me. Yeah. It's me, Vita, I'm right here. I'm shivering and numb, eyes bloodshot and drooping. I was there had been. Lynn, I did something and Lynn, Shoo, it's okay. It's okay, we'll figure it out. But we won't talk about it up here, okay? Let us get you downstairs, okay Vita? I finally managed to register the rest of the room. The kids of the shack are sitting and standing around me, looking concerned. A few of them have their little hands grasping parts of Lynn's clothes for support. You okay, big sis? One of them murmurs. You wouldn't get up. We had to find Lynn. You kept it wasn't truly there. I couldn't see it, I couldn't hear it, I couldn't feel it, for it was not real in the way I understand reality. It went through the floor like an illusion, through the earth, through a dozen other islands deep below but not through me. With my new senses, I knew the false thing, and it knew me. It grasped my body, winding around me, twisting with the sort of bored curiosity which one might roll lint between their fingers. But this was no person, and the chill touch of its idle violations did not distract from its true purpose. A soul was found, a soul was taken, and my soft friend died in my arms as the thing slithered back into the nothingness whence it came. Vita. Lynn calls, shaking me again. Hey! Stay with me. You're okay. I've got you, you're okay. Calm down, honey. Breathe slow. Slow, Vita. Oh. I had been hyperventilating. I try to focus my attention on Lynn's words as best I can, calming my breathing. In, out. In, out. That's right. That's a good girl. You're safe, kiddo. Am not a kiddo, I manage to murmur. Lynn laughs. There you are. You back with me, Vita? I nod slowly, blinking to clear my mind. I am back. I am here. I certainly am not safe, though. Yeah. Sorry. You got nothing to apologize for, honey. Lynn gives me another quick squeeze and stands up. You gonna be okay now? I've gotta get back to what I do. I swallow, choking out the next bit. Why yeah. Lynn? I think there might be something. She puffs out her cheeks, looking nervous. Okay, Vita, is it like an immediate danger thing, or can this wait for a few hours? I really gotta go. Oh. Of course she is busy. Right. I don't want her to go, I feel like I am about to burst into tears again or worse. Yet what could she do if it came back? Nothing. Not a damn thing. So she may as well go. It can wait. Okay. Perfect, she says, nodding quickly. Kids, Vita is allowed down below by herself. The rest of you are not allowed down there with her. Head down if you need to practice or something, Vita. But do not do anything unless you are sure it's safe, okay? I nod. Okay. Good girl. See you later, kiddos. Lynn turns and rushes out of the door at crazy speeds, leaving me with the other orphans. Letting out a shaky breath, I fumble around with my covers and eventually find poor Roscoe. I give him a cataclysmic hugger-squeezer, cuddling him hard and rocking him left and right a few times before finally letting go and hiding him back in the wad of clothes that serves as his nest. Maybe some other time, Roscoe, you will live. Not a kiddo, one of the other orphans says in a mocking imitation of my voice. The rest of them burst into laughter, prompting a heavy blush. Tossing my blankets at the offending brat, I get up and promptly decide to take a walk. To clear my head of the horrifying eldritch friend murder, obviously. Not because I'm embarrassed. The many winding, maze-like alleyways are easy enough to find a place to get lost in. Not lost, I know this city well. Mentally lost, with the rhythm of my feet on the stone guiding my thoughts to wherever they may go. Yesterday doesn't feel real, but it is. That power is still inside me, and I still have to decide what I'm going to do with it. I have no answers for that yet, but at least the walk is nice. It's been a long time since I actually wanted to walk anywhere. Being constantly malnourished did not exactly make moving an appealing activity. I'm still pretty full from yesterday, though. Whatever slop that healer gave me to eat was incredible. That stuff by itself almost made murdering Grig worth it. Maybe it's best not to think that way. Shunk. A familiar sound catches my ear, ever so softly. A dangerous sound, the kind street rats like me quickly learn to avoid. It's the sound of a blade sliding into flesh, probably just a block away. I should definitely turn the heck around and... Hold on. I feel something. Someone just died. It would be a shame to let the soul go to waste, right? Before I really even get why I'm doing it, I start sneaking over to the alleyway. Was this a stupid idea? Probably. But there's a soul over there. I want it, damn it. That's not even freaky necromancer instinct, though there might be a bit of that involved. Eating souls is how I get stronger. Getting stronger is how I get food. I'm so tired of being trodden on, of starving all the time. I have to take a few risks and pull myself up somehow. I get to the alleyway, peeking one eye out from behind the corner. 3 men are at the far end of the street, one of them lying with his back on the ground, clearly dead. The other 2 stand over him, a short, roundish man that isn't quite as fat as Grig but looks like he's aiming for it, and a tall, skinny man wiping down a wooden dagger with a cloth. Both are dressed in grubby old clothing, clearly not the owners of anything particularly expensive. Unfortunately, their eyes are sharper than their weapons. The fat man spots me immediately. Shit, he grumbles. There's a kid, Squigs. Shit sounds about right, yeah. They're pretty far away, but I couldn't outrun Grig, so I probably can't lose these 2 either. I just wanted to sneak up and take the soul after they left. I didn't see anything, I squeak at them both. Aha. Well, how about you get out here so we can see you, the tall guy apparently named Squigs answers. His voice sounds greasy, like I'll need to wash off just for talking to him. I don't wanna. You're gonna stab me. Squigs chuckles and shakes his head. No, nothing like that. We just need to make sure you're not gonna talk to the guards. Right, Friggs? The shorter man nods. I promise, kid. It'll be fine. Here, I got some food for you if you behave. I scowl. Liars. All the criminals say that. No one gives food away for free except Lynn. The shorter man sounds a lot nicer than the greasy tall guy, but there's still an edge to his words that's sharper than his dagger. The pair of them grin. Please, little miss. We're not some common thieves. We don't steal. Squiggs says. Stole his life, I correct, pointing at the corpse. Friggs laughs at that. She's got you there, Squiggs. But seriously, little girl, you're gonna have to come here or things are gonna go poorly for you. I swallow and nod, stepping into the alley completely. I have to be ready. They might be honest, but more likely, they're just getting me close to shank the witness. I refuse to be another nameless corpse in this alley. Power moves its way into my hands, ready to rip out a soul if they come for me. They have knives, and they seem to be professional killers. This isn't going to be a drawn-out beatdown like with Grig. I have one shot and one shot only. Surprise is the only option. Kill one, animate him. Maybe animate both corpses if I can get to them. I can't let them escape after using necromancy. Better to kill the thin one first, then, he looks faster. I approach slowly, avoiding their gaze like the meek little kid they thought I was. Yet I can't help but be a bit tense, for all I know, this could be the end. No. I will not die. I'll get them first. I keep my gaze locked on their hands, ready to move the instant they. This kid, Squigs murmurs to his companion. Yes, Friggs agrees. The streets make them hard, I suppose. We're really not going to hurt you, little miss. I just want to get a good look at you. Could you take your hood off, please? Shit. I'm not in range to touch them yet. I really hope they're honest. Warily, I do as instructed. Friggs hums. I believe you. He pulls some kind of fried nugget out of his dirty coat and tosses it towards me. I catch it on instinct. It smells good. Then he turns and picks up the body, throwing it over his shoulder. The soul stays where it is when the body moves, I note. If you want more food, you can come with us. Otherwise. Have a pleasant day, little miss. Not little, I mumble, already biting down on the treat. It's some juicy meat thing, and it's utterly delicious. He smiles and nods politely, then the two of them turn to leave. I let them, content to finish off my tasty meal. As good as it is, I certainly don't want to follow the two murderers. Shit, they could be professional assassins for all I know. Besides, I still have something to collect here. Once they're gone, I carefully reach down and grab the human soul. It's a little worrying that this is the treat I'm looking forward to more. As tempting as it is to chow down on this immediately, though, I pull the soul into my arm for now, storing it safely. There are a few things I want to try with it. Quickly vacating the area, I wander my way back to the shack, wordlessly ignoring the other orphans and head down to the secret space below. I sit down and get comfy. I have another human soul. Before I do anything too crazy with it, I want to be able to ask the person in it for permission. Unfortunately, that doesn't work super well. First, I try to just think at it. That doesn't seem to help. The soul doesn't react when I talk out loud either. So I start getting creative, moving the stranger's soul and my soul around in my body so they touch a bit, but still. Nothing. I spend a full frustrating hour on this, and by the end I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need to stick this in a body that can talk if I want to talk with it. Which kind of defeats the point if they end up as subservient as Greg. Hey, can I subject the very essence of your being to the darkest of all blasphemies? Yes, Vita. Of course, Vita. Anything for you, Vita. It makes me shudder to think about. Frowning, I give up. I store the soul for later, though. There are a few other things I want to test, I'll just need either Lynn or another corpse first. I close my eyes and get back to meditating. I have another item on the agenda, soul sensing. I can feel souls pretty easily when they're floating around outside a body, but I can't feel anything from a living soul unless I touch the person. This is annoying and I bet I can do better. If Rowan is right, Lynn can sense the relative power of a living soul without touching anybody, and I should be able to as well. I try to focus on that sense I get when in contact with someone, trying to reach out and feel the life in the orphans up above me. But it's just no dice. What am I missing? Heading back up the ladder, I convince one of the kids to sit still for me. I place my hand on his neck, feeling his soul. Such a tiny, paltry thing it is, even smaller than mine before I devoured Greg. Black with freckles of white, like drops of dye in water. I move my hand, putting it on the back of his shirt. I can still sense the soul through the fabric, though it's certainly harder. As I pull my hand farther and farther away, it rapidly gets more and more difficult to sense anything. An inch away and I start sweating from the strain of concentration. 2 inches, and I can't feel the sole anymore, no matter how hard I try. Ugh. What am I missing? What does Lynn have that I don't? A substantially larger sole, for one. Maybe that's it. Maybe not. I still have things I want this second sole for, first, so unfortunately there will be no eating yet. Instead, it's time to go rowan hunting. Rowan hunting, thankfully, is way easier than Lynn hunting. His scamming zone from yesterday was ruined thanks to that Templar, but he has a set few spots where he is likely to be. Busy streets are a must to draw large crowds, and they need to have enough space for him to set up without getting in the way of any established shops. I have a good guess on where he'll be today, based on his normal site rotation patterns. Sure enough, I find him on the first try. Oh, nice try ma'am, but as you can see, it was here all along. Better luck next time. I smile a little, approaching behind Rowan and giving him a light pat. Whoa. Stay to the front of the Vita. Hey there, kiddo. Things going okay? I nod. Good to hear. You need something, or you here to help? Well, I should help. And it's not like my questions are super urgent. Both, I murmur. He smiles wider. Fantastic. All right folks, now that my lovely assistant is here. I work the con with him for a while, trying to be as attentive as possible. I want to get better at helping Rowan, but I also noticed something the other day that I want to pay extra close attention to. Rowan is making a pretty significant amount of money. I'm not great with money. It's not like I've ever had much cause to learn about it. I know the engraved chitin chips people call coins are made by the government somewhere in Skyhope, formed from the shed shells of some kind of domesticated monster. The designs are super complicated, and if I tried to make fake ones I'd have the city's best guards all up my ass before I could say investment fraud, whatever that is. But I know a bit about how much things cost and it looks like Rowan could buy a lot more food than he actually does. So why doesn't he? I keep those thoughts to myself for now, whiling away the hours as Rowan's assistant. It goes wonderfully, in fact, until a familiar helmet appears. Why is that Templar back? We're in a completely different part of the city. He starts walking my way again, too. Oh God, am I found out? Can he see the soul I have stored away? Oh shit, that's it. I'm going to die. This is happening, I guess. Rowan immediately swaps the game back to cups so I'm not involved with it personally, thank goodness. Sitting next to him, I try to look even smaller than usual. Time ticks by slowly until the Templar finally, eventually, is next in line. 3 games, please, he rumbles, passing Rowan the cost for exactly that. Yes sir, Rowan says pleasantly, flourishing the cups. Behind his helmet, the Templar's face is unreadable. Rowan starts the game, doing his first run with no tricks, just fast movement. The Templar tracks the ball without trouble, correctly identifying the cup. Good eye, sir. I always wondered if it's hard to see out of those visors of yours. It can be, unfortunately, the Templar answers easily. The way they cut peripheral vision is not to my liking, but it is better than taking an arrow to the face. Rowan chuckles, starting the second game. I watch him weave an illusion for this one, flicking his fingers in magical patterns under the table to fake a single pass of the cup. I have to admit, sir, I'm surprised to see a noble Templar such as yourself at my humble stall. An honor, to be sure, but certainly a surprise. Rowan's words are easy and natural. He has the perfect poker face on, while I'm barely managing to not sweat enough to create a pool. The Templar guesses the correct cup again, utterly unfazed by the illusion. Truth be told, this is not the sort of game or business I care for, the Templar says. But nonetheless it was not my intention to deprive you of your income, yesterday. I should have approached you more discreetly. I apologize. Rowan grins, and not even I can tell if it's fake or genuine. The third round begins. Well, sir, if your goal is to avoid depriving me of my income, you're gonna have to stop guessing all these balls correctly. Well, that is the nature of the game, is it not? It is a test of perception and skill. Right you are, sir, Rowan agrees. From behind the table, I see the ball rapidly pass from the cup to his hand, then from his hand into another cup in a single, fluid motion. No magic, just a simple, skillful cheat. This time, the Templar guesses wrong, and a delighted Rowan lifts all the cups to prove it. The Templar murmurs. Well done. I did not see that. Your mastery of your craft is impressive, young man. I have to say though, I think it is a waste of your talent. You could do much more than this. Rowan shrugs, still smiling. Unless that's a job offer, sir, there's not much more I can do for now. The Templar sits forward. And if it is? Silence hangs over the table, Rowan looking genuinely dumbfounded for once. I'd have to think about it, is all he manages to say. Please do, the Templar says, nodding politely. He holds out a hand, which Rowan takes into a firm shake. And you take care too, little miss, he continues, holding his hand out to me as well. Instinctively, I pull back, shying away. I don't know what Templars can do. Touching that hand might be the end of me. I have a stolen human soul inside my body. I latch on to Rowan, hugging him and burrowing my face into his side like a frightened child. Actually being frightened for my life probably helps sell it. Sorry, Rowan says apologetically, patting the top of my head. She's shy. The Templar sighs, sounding a bit dejected at the prospect of being so scary. Well, he says, setting the palm he held out down on the table. This is for her. Make sure you get her something good to eat, young man. His hand lifts, revealing a rather large coin. Will do, sir, Rowan says cautiously. The Templar nods and wanders off. I make sure to keep hugging Rowan until he's long gone. As a strategic maneuver, of course. Not because Rowan is warm and I like it. And not because his soul is pretty either. Yeah, okay, it was all those things. I don't exactly get a lot of hugs. I'm going to savor this one while I can. Plus, Rowan's rainbow swirl soul is just delectable. Well kiddo, looks like you just got your first tip, Rowan eventually murmurs. I think now's a good time to pack up for the day. Yeah, I agree. The two of us do just that, gathering Rowan's props and making our way back to the hideout. He's abnormally quiet the whole time, though I certainly don't mind. The only things left for me to talk about are best done somewhere private. On the way home, it's so weird to have a home, as pathetic as mine is, Rowan uses the coin the Templar gave me to buy food. Enough food for all of the orphans, with change. It's going to be another well-fed day, apparently. 2 in a row was almost unheard of. I return to the shack and help hand out the meals. There's no cheering or weeping for the bountiful harvest, only ravenous mouths trying to survive. Yet while they don't show it, I know they're grateful. I was just like them a few weeks ago, and not really all that different now. With dinner served, Rowan and I retreat to the hidey hole below. He takes a glass and fills it with water from a bucket, sipping lightly before speaking. All right, kid. What did you want to talk about? Many things, but instead of saying them I blurt, I like your soul. Rowan spit takes, saliva and water showering the area around me. What? It's, cute, I clarify, face rapidly turning red. And pretty. It feels like a rainbow that moves. And it's big. Not as big as Lynn's, but I'm much bigger than, I peter off, my words dying under Rowan's concerned gaze. Why the hell did I say all of that? You're, really taking to this, huh? Rowan murmurs, daring to sip a bit more water. Lin said I should use it. It's part of who I am. And, I don't think I cannot feel people's souls when I touch them. It just happens. He nods slowly, setting his glass on a nearby table. Ah. Okay. That makes sense. You awaken to an extra set of perceptions, then. That must be interesting. I guess. I'll just take the compliment, then. I nod, smiling. Are you gonna take the job? He frowns, tilting his chair back. Not a kiddo, I insist. Right, right. Anyway, Vita, didn't you have something to say about you? I nod as he picks up his cup for another drink. I think the Mistwatcher ate part of my soul last night. Once again, that drink ends up on my face. Rowan chokes and pounds on his sternum as I try to wipe myself dry. Please stop doing that, I request. It's not easy to get all that water. Stop saying crazy shit, then. The Mistwatcher ate your soul. Just a little bit of it. I took a sliver out and put it in Roscoe. My, stuffed bird. And it worked. He could move around and give me hugs. But then, in the middle of the night, something infinite and uncaring passed over me, dripping unimagined dreams and oozing undreamt realities. It could not touch, but it touched me anyway, caressing me absently as it stole, murdered, devoured some little shard, ignoring my mute, uncomprehending terror. Took it. Rowan frowned. And you think this thing was the Mistwatcher? Why? I hugged myself tightly. What else could it be? Rowan nods slowly. Any number of things we don't know about. But if something grabs wayward bits of soul, that would at least explain why the whole damn island isn't covered in soul stuff from dead rats. I frown, thinking. Yeah. But nothing ate Grig. Except me, I mean. And I had him for longer. Rowan's smile strained. Whoops, I'm talking casually about soul murder again. Well. Maybe it just eats at night. No, that doesn't make sense. If that were the case, naturally formed zombies would die at night. Could it be the materials? There aren't any like soul-controlled puppets that occur naturally, but you can find zombies at pretty much any battleground. I frown, nodding. Using dead bodies feels better, too. I just wanted to hug Roscoe. Rowan's smile becomes outright pained. Shit, was it the dead bodies thing? He tries to hide it with a drink of water, but his perfect poker face from the game seems to fail on the subject of me. Sorry, I murmur. I'm kinda getting used to this really fast, I guess. Yeah, Rowan sighs. Well, it feels good to do things we're good at. I can imagine how excited you are to have something special about you, that only you can do. But try not to forget, Vita, you are a death mage. You can't take power like that lightly. I will help you as much as I can, Vita. I promise. But I need you to promise me not to lose your humanity along the way. Okay. That's easier said than done, Rowan. I'm already a living blasphemy, doesn't that disqualify me by default? I might need some help with that, I blurt, trying to push down tears. It was such a hard thing to say, for some reason. I feel like I'm almost a totally different person lately. Everything before now is just an awful blur. Starving day after day, barely surviving, being nobody, but now I can just kill people. I ran into these two murderers today. Just standing over a body. I thought they were gonna kill me too. I look up at him, terrified. His face is serious, but he's listening. So I decided to kill them first. I planned it. They didn't attack, but if they had I would have ripped one apart and made him kill his friend. I think. They tried to recruit me after that. A long silence stretches between the two of us. Rowan takes another drink of water. You're way too young for all this, kid, he says. Not a kid, I answer, scowling. Yeah, Rowan agrees. Maybe not. Overhead, the familiar pitter-patter sound of rain begins. Aw shit, is the mist thimble here already? We gotta go board up, Vita. Come on. I nod, following Rowan up the ladder. And Vita? We'll help with all that for sure. Lynn and I are in this with you all the way. But you have to decide the person you want to be, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay, Rowan. With the kids working together, it doesn't take us long to seal the shack for rain. Nighttime now fallen, everyone gets into bed to sleep. Lynn, however, is oddly absent. Not returning before dark was odd for her, and I can't help but worry. On the bright side, at least the Mistwatcher didn't come back tonight. I know this for sure, because I didn't sleep a single second. Hey, Vita. You okay? Rowan's face peeks over me as I stare up at the ceiling. I nod slowly, not wanting to talk about how awful I really feel. Well, you look like shit, Vita, Rowan says, apparently unfold. Did you sleep at all? I shake my head no. How could I? No matter how exhausted I was, the panic kept my eyes open. What if it returned? Rowan sighs. Okay. You need to stay in bed, kiddo. Get some rest. You didn't sleep through Kragscar either, right? How long have you been up now? Over 30 hours, at least. That's not good for you. I do want sleep. I'm exhausted beyond belief. Yet I have to know where's Lynn. I murmur. I don't know, Rowan says, tossing off his nightshirt and throwing on something fresh. But I have a few good guesses, and I'm gonna go find her. You stay here and sleep, okay? No following me. I frown and nod. Rowan was very much in his no-arguments mode. Finishing his preparations, Rowan stands up with a stretch and makes for the slab of wood that the shack uses as a door. All right, kiddos, I'm heading out. Stay out of trouble, okay? For a moment, I almost ask him to stay with me. To help me fall asleep, to be there in case it comes back. But I can't do that. He has to go help Lynn. I clutch Roscoe tightly to my chest, willing my body not to shake. Is Lynn gonna be okay? I ask. Yeah, Vita, Rowan says. I think so. She was probably just out late and holed up somewhere for the rain. We'll be back before you know it. Just make sure to rest, okay? I nod. Okay. He nods back and departs, leaving me alone with the other kids. I grab a spare shirt to wrap around my eyes, blocking out the light. With Roscoe cuddled close and cloak wrapped around me alongside the blankets, I rest. I wait. And eventually, finally, I nod off to sleep. Ever shifting, ever changing, a beautiful, multifaceted rainbow. Warm, huge, pulsing like a heart, kindness and light. Two souls I've felt so closely. No one has ever treated me like Lynn and Rowan. They fed me. They helped me. They accepted me. They did all this and expected nothing in return. I recall the day I insisted I wanted to help, barely 2 weeks ago. The surprise on their faces. The fire they lit in my heart. My whole life, I had nothing. I was worth nothing. Survival was my only concern, and I hadn't even been particularly good at it. But they filled that emptiness within me. I can only imagine my own soul, before that day. Tiny. Weak. Black. A dread nothingness, hopelessness personified. It looks the same, still. So small, so dark. Yet now, something bright flashes inside, like lightning striking within a cloud. It grows. Someday, the flashing light will break free, and not even I know what I will become. A second soul floats within me as well. Dull, tinted red. A monochrome person, fractured and barely functional. There is something wrong with this soul, as large as it was. Yet I know it would be delicious no matter what. When I dissolved a person into nothing but materials, all that mattered was their size. I hunger for it. I am so weak. So frail. In body and soul, I am almost nothing. I couldn't help it. I have to eat. I tear the stored soul out of myself, gulping it down greedily. The kids ask what I'm doing and I kill them too, ripping their lives free from their bodies. Souls, souls everywhere. Lynn and Rowan return, and I am waiting. They can't fight back against the zombies I made from the bodies, they are too weak in heart. They die and I eat them as well, together for with a scream I wake up, a chill sweat clinging to my body. What was? I didn't. A quick look around and I see the kids are fine. The soul ID taken yesterday is still safely inside me. Rowan and Lynn are down the hatch, one of the kids says, causing me to jump in terror. Down the hatch. Oh God, did I really? Rowan and Lynn said you should join them down the hatch. In the secret spot. When you wake up, he continues. Right. Right, duh, that makes more sense. Casting off the last throes of the dream, I stand up, shaking. Everyone is okay. I'm okay. I don't realize I'm still hugging Roscoe in a death grip until I try to go down the ladder. Whatever, I'll bring him with. It's okay if Lynn and Rowan see. I spot them immediately. They're both sitting down next to each other, Lynn leaning on him. Rowan looks completely exhausted, he's worn down, depressed, confused. Lynn, meanwhile, looks kind of like I did after Greg got his hands on me, back when he was still alive. She's beaten bloody, her face a complete mess of bruises and swelling. I suspect her condition is similar underneath her leather armor. Hey, Vita, Lynn rasps out as I hop off the ladder. Didja sleep well, kiddo? I swallow. No, not at all, but this was hardly the time for that. What happened? Screwed up a joint job. Business partners weren't happy. It's not as bad as it looks, kiddo. Am not a kiddo, I protest automatically. Yeah, of course. Sorry Vita. She tries to grin, but her mouth is a red mess of missing teeth. A boiling feeling wells up inside of me, demanding death. Lynn is. She's just so good. Who would hurt Lynn? Who would dare? I'm going to tear these bastards apart. No. No, I'm just some kid. There's nothing I can do. The knowledge of my weakness douses my anger. I am weak, I barely know what's going on, and I made a promise to Rowan as well. Caution and care. That's how I have to deal with this. But it would be dealt with. For now, though, far more important things are right in front of me. I step in and wrap my arms around Lynn, ever so gently. Even with how physically broken she is, her soul is still so warm and bright. What happened? I ask quietly. Like I said kiddo, I just messed up, Lynn says dismissively. I break off the hug so I can look her in the eyes. Even holding on to a stuffed animal doesn't detract from the intensity of my stare. I'm not a kid. Don't hide stuff from me. I want to help. Rowan and Lynn share a look. Vita, I'm not sure this is something you can help with, Rowan says frankly. I can do a lot, I insist. I'm weak and maybe I don't know much. Not yet, anyway. But I can help. I will. You've helped me for a year. Let me do the same. And if you don't, I'll find out on my own. Vita, please trust me when I say you should not be getting involved with Rowan starts. I frown. If I recall correctly, the mob in charge of this area was. The Broken Drakens? She nods. Yeah, those guys. We failed a big job yesterday 'cause I showed up so late. The boss was, not happy. She scratches the back of her head, wincing. I'll be fighting fit in a week or so, everything should be fine. You know how it is, the men just have to show how tough they are. She laughs again, though it regresses into a coughing, hacking mess before too long. She wipes a bit of spit blood from her lips. There's no need to worry, kiddo. Really. I didn't exactly enjoy getting my shit kicked in, but it's just what happens. You've been there, right? Yeah, and then I killed the guy who did that to me, I say flatly. Vita, Rowan begins warningly, but I talk over him for perhaps the first time in my life. I wanted to kill him, I continue. I really did. When he was just beating me to death. When I saw how much he hated me. How little he cared about anything that happened to me. How disgusting and angry and evil he was. When I saw how much he wanted me to die. I wanted him to die first, so I could live. I watched them both carefully. They're silent, expectant. I don't think they've ever heard me say this much at once. I'm not sure I ever have. That feeling is how I learned my power, I continue. Now, I feel your souls every time I touch you. I dreamt about eating them when I slept. I'm terrified, Lynn. I don't want to be a killer, I don't want to be a monster. But you can't tell me that when you were getting beaten to a pulp that you thought you deserved it. You can't tell me that you don't want to get back at them. You can't tell me that we all wouldn't be better off if you were free. A long, pregnant pause fills the room after that, only broken by another set of wet coughs from Lynn. You've really been thinking about all that, huh kiddo? Lynn murmurs after catching her breath. Not a kiddo, I answer. No, she agrees again. I guess not. Nobody except us, I counter. You get kinda sassy when you're fed and rested, don't you? Lynn comments with a grin. It's a valid question, though. What do you expect to actually do? I frown, thinking. It's not that I didn't have ideas, it's that I had too many and didn't know enough about any of them. Rowan, did you figure out what that Templar wanted with you? I ask. What? Lynn yelps, shocked. Templar? No, I haven't, Rowan says, scowling. Had he wanted to keep that a secret? It's been kind of a busy day, Vita. A Templar implied heavily that he had a job offer for me, Lynn. I don't know why. Well, I think you should figure out why, I say. Rowan sits backwards. I'd probably be out doing that now if one of my kids wasn't a friggin' animancer. How many times do I have to emphasize how dangerous it is for you to get close to them? If I'm close to them, and you're close to me. I scowl. Don't ignore it because of me. The Templars might be able to find zombies and stuff, we don't know for sure. But I had another soul inside when that Templar talked to us, and he didn't seem to notice a thing. So maybe I can't raise an army or whatever, but I can eat souls to get stronger. Rowan sighs, but it's a concessionary sigh. Vita, if you don't want to be a monster, why the hell are you even thinking about eating souls? I take a deep breath. Time for stupid idea number 1. What if I got souls outside the walls? What? Lynn and Rowan yell together. Hunters do it, I point out. I could join the Hunter-S Guild. And hunters die. Besides, you can't be a hunter. You're weak, Vita. I'm weak, by hunter standards. They'd take one look at you and throw you out of the guild. You don't have weapons, you don't have armor, you can't show them your powers. The guild is pretty desperate, but they wouldn't even let you on a beginner team. I can get those things. And I can hide my powers. You said monsters are strong. And they have souls. It's not wrong to eat monster souls, right? They're not people. I know it's dangerous, but I could get really strong this way, Lynn. Then I can come back and help. Lynn shakes her head. Rowan scratches his mutton chops, looking increasingly concerned. It's a risky idea, Rowan says, and we don't know if it's wrong to eat monster souls. But all ways of getting strong are risky, Lynn. You know that. Still, I'd like to hear if you have any better ideas. I nod. I don't know about better, but I had ideas. Do you know a fat guy and a thin guy who go by Squigs and Friggs? Lynn's face immediately darkens. Where'd you hear about them? She asks. I ran into them on my walk the other day. I saw them kill a guy. Then I got really sassy at them and they tried to recruit me, I think. I can be sassy when hungry, too. They're hired killers, Vita, Lynn says, scowling. I nod. I figured as much. I could get strong pretty fast if I joined up with them as well. Vita, you can't be an assassin. Lynn shouts, horrified. Why not? I counter back. I'm a necromancer, Lynn. I have death magic. You're the one who told me that's part of who I am. Anything I do is going to involve death. She shuts her mouth. Besides, the assassins are going to kill people no matter what. This way, I'll be in a better position to kill other assassins too. Make the city a little safer. Lynn shakes her head, an expression of sadness taking her. Vita. Please. You can't think like that. Even killers have people who love them. Every death is a tragedy. I scowl. It's hard to disagree with that, but I want to. Did Grig's family miss him? I suppose I don't know, but I sure as hell wouldn't miss someone that beat me raw for baking bread wrong. My only other idea was to join the Broken Drakens with you and we could try to take them apart from the inside, I say frankly. I could help you guys out with what you do, we could work together, we could maybe make things better. Eventually, we could take them down. Absolutely not, Rowan says firmly. You are drastically overestimating yourself, Vita. Where are you even getting these ideas? You're not a criminal mastermind, you're not a trained hunter, you're a supposedly 16-year-old girl that we can barely feed enough to keep alive. The leader of the Broken Drakens has crushed more than one attempted uprising, and you're not the picture of subtlety. You don't understand these people, Vita. You're just going to get used as a pawn, chewed up, and spat out. Assuming you even survive. For a moment, all I hear is my own panting breath. I'm so worked up I can barely stand it. Is this it? Are they so obsessed with helping me that they wouldn't accept my help? Lynn sighs. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've got your back for anything, Vita. Your family. And if this is what you have to do, you don't have to ask, kiddo. I'll help. I'm not a yeah, I know, she says, cutting me off. Forgive us, would you, Vita? You grew up really damn fast. Now it's Rowan's turn to sigh. He only has one thing to say, though. So which one are you thinking? I don't like any of those options, but if you insist on picking one, it may as well be your favorite. I mean, the choice is obvious, isn't it? I say. I promised you, Rowan. Rowan raises an eyebrow as Lynn looks on in confusion. I promised you I wouldn't lose my humanity. So I don't want to kill humans to get stronger. I want to help people. Hunters do that, right? They work together and keep people safe. They're heroes. Lynn smiles broadly. You say something like that while holding a stuffed animal and expect me not to call you kiddo, she jokes. I scowl. Leave Roscoe out of this. She busts out into laughter, not stopping even as she begins to choke. Rowan just shakes his head. It's not that simple, Vita. It never is. No person and no organization is all good or all bad. The Hunters Guild is going to have its infighting and politics the same as anyone else. But they're not assassins or mobsters, right? I press. Rowan looks pained. I frown. I don't want to take food from the others. We'll work something out, kiddo. I'm gonna have to steal you some gear, Lynn says, finally recovering from her laughing fit. We're gonna have to at least wait until I'm healed up for that. I nod. That reminds me. Can you teach me to sense danger like you? Rowan says I might have a talent for it, and it seems like it would be really helpful. Lynn grins. Yeah. Well, I dunno actually. Maybe. I'll definitely give it a shot. I dunno if I'm the teaching type, but it's not like I'll have anything better to do. Okay. I wanna test some things real fast. Can you sense me right now? I ask. Is anything weird? She peers at me, head tilting. It's always on, so yeah. You feel pretty much the same as before, though. Why? I push the other human soul I've been hiding out of my arm, letting it rest on my palm. Do you feel anything different now? Lynn shakes her head. Still the same, Vita. Okay. I'm gonna eat this soul, then. Tell me if I feel different then. They blink. Wait. You're holding a soul? Lynn asks. Vita, where did you get that? I tilt my head. I told you. I ran into those assassin guys. I took the soul of the guy they killed. You're going to eat a man's soul? Rowan asks slowly. I frown, thinking about it. Why wouldn't I? I need to know if it's safe to store souls I find in my body. It seems like Lynn can't detect it, but maybe that's just because it's too small. If she notices a change after I eat it, that means it's hidden from her danger sense thing. If she doesn't, then we don't know whether or not her danger sense can detect larger souls. There might be other good uses for it later, but this seems like something that's best to know now. Yeah, I decide. They both stare at me. Is that weird? I wonder hesitantly. It's just what happens to the soul when you eat it, Vita. Rowan asks. It becomes part of me, I answer immediately. So. That person, that individual, is living inside you? No, I tell them, shaking my head. They're dead. The soul gets all dissolved and stuff. So. The person never gets to go to the afterlife? Rowan asks. Oh. Oh. That's what he's worried about. I squeeze Roscoe a little. I don't really know. Maybe they get to go when I die. I'm sure they get put back together. There's no way I'm powerful enough to invalidate the afterlife, right? I hope that's right. I really, really, really hope that's right. Rowan scratches his head. Yeah. I guess there's no way, right? Do your experiment. I nod, then look at Lynn. After a short pause, she nods too. I open my mouth wide and drop the soul down my throat, letting the feeling of raw, dissolved power flow through me. It's the best meal I've had since Grig. I feel a little calmer, a little more clear-headed. Yep, Lynn mutters as I start to come down from the euphoria. I definitely felt that. It's not a big difference, but it's a difference. You're stronger. I nod. No snacking in front of people with a danger sense, then. One more thing I want to test. Reaching my hand forward, I concentrate as hard as I can. When my hand is 4 inches away from Lynn, I feel it. That warm, beautiful soul. Twice as far as last time, I murmur. I get better at sensing souls the more I eat, I think. Lynn's eyebrows raise. Do you even need my help, then? She asks. She will, Rowan insists. Raw power is nice, but technique makes a huge difference too. If you actually learn how to do it right instead of just thinking really hard at it, Vita, I think it'll help even more than the soul-eating shit. Okay, I agree. Can you help me get some animal souls anyway, though? He sighs. Yeah. Sure. I give Rowan a huge hug, which he accepts with middling grace. I have a plan, it sounds like. Train, learn, eat, grow. And once I can survive it, the Hunter Guild awaits. I never imagined I'd get a legal job. All I needed was some illegal magic to nab it. A note from Thundamo. Hey everyone. Thanks for reading. Plugs always make me feel a bit icky, but... well, I am a hungry writer, and successful people plug. Patreon. I know there's not a whole lot of story yet, but there's a bunch in the backlogs to be edited and released soon. If you want to show support without tossing any of your hard-earned cash at my face, a full, written review is a big help for getting the Royal Road algorithm to notice me like the senpai I always wanted. Regardless of what you do, though, I want to thank you so much for reading. I hope you enjoy and continue to enjoy my work. A note from Thundamo. Thanks again for reading. It came as no surprise me that training was horrible, uncomfortable, and exhausting. What did come as a surprise is how much I dreaded it because of those things. It should be welcome, right? My whole life has been horrible, exhausting, and uncomfortable. A new and exciting kind of horrible shouldn't really be that much of a turnoff, yet there's no way I could have ever done this alone. I could never have pushed myself without Lynn and Rowan barking orders at me the whole time. It would have been so easy to give up. My pathetic body can barely handle what was being thrown at it, but mentally, I was even more unprepared for this. I just wanted to collapse into a ball and go back to starving. In many ways, that was still preferable. I had insisted that I didn't want people to give up meals for me, but it was definitely happening anyway and I couldn't say no. Just another weakness of character, I guess. But like I had meat. Meat. Just bits, but I had them. Meat was expensive, since it had to be treated with biomancy to ensure it was safe. I still couldn't believe I was getting any. It was such a waste. I was still tiny, I was still weak. After years and years of malnourishment, that might not ever change. Yet over the course of a few weeks, my meals kept getting bigger and better. Rowan had to be taking on a lot more debt to afford it. I knew that. I hated it. I didn't deserve it. It all tasted so good, but it felt so oddly awful for something so happy. There's talent and then there's talent, kiddo, Lynn had said. As long as you survive, as long as you get stronger, it will be worth it. You make good on your plan, okay? I couldn't protest that. It hurt too much to try. It didn't feel like the physical training was getting me stronger, though. I knew it was. I didn't doubt Rowan and Lynn, but to me, it just hurt. Push-ups. Sit-ups. Jogs. Constant physical pain. At least I was starting to look less like a skeleton. Every once in a while I'd poke at myself when no one was watching, grinning giddily from the simple joy of feeling something besides tendons and bone. Rowan told me the strength of my soul was helping to grow my body into a healthier state, now that I was eating the physical mass to make it possible. Body and soul worked hand in hand, he said. When one was weaker, the other helped make it stronger. I asked how that applied to Undead. He gave me a look and said he didn't know. While my physical diet was much improved, I couldn't help but notice I looked forward to the soul diet just as much. It was mostly rat souls. Rowan paid the kids to help catch live rats for me. I ended up being given a big bucket of the squirmy little things every day or two, letting me indulge in a delicious, otherworldly cacophony of flavor. Reaching a gloved hand into the bucket, I could tear out whole handfuls of souls at once, slurping them like some kind of queen indulging in a bowl of grapes. Rat souls weren't very large, but I was surprised how varied they were. Some rats had larger souls than others. Some rats were brighter, some were darker. They had all sorts of different colors and textures. They weren't like human souls, not quite. But there was just enough individuality to them to make me wonder. I'd repay the favor. I had to, now. The non-physical side of training was much more fun. I finally got the hang of sensing souls from a distance, and it was wow. The first time I sensed Rowan's soul from across the room I cheered. That range just kept growing, though. A room. A house. A city block. More and more and more life started to pop into my senses, every color and sound and taste and feel imaginable. The souls were not truly any of those things, they had no flavor and they shed no light, but it was the only way I could understand them. The sense was new. It was hearing for the first time, feeling for the first time, seeing for the first time all in one. An incredible amount of information was flowing into me at once, endless lives moving around in a dazzling swarm, each one beautiful and unique. After a while, my detection range stopped growing, but it was a pretty damn long range.